Welcome, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Aegis Defenders League semifinals between Pride Stalker Esports and SK. My name is Gordo, and I am joined tonight by Trajan as we are about to watch two of our top four squads do battle to determine who is going to be making it all the way to those finals.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We've been able to see on stream both SK and PSE a bit now, and they've both had really solid performances the times that we've seen them on stream. Now, both of them have had, some upsets here and there, a little bit of a hiccup they could call it, and we can say SK's end of their split wasn't necessarily as strong as the beginning, but they've really come through these play-ins and this first week of playoffs really strong. Seen a lot of great plays being made out there, specifically by More Sleep and Maple Shade in the top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Nukes had that crazy pop off Yone game on stream just last week, was
Mhm.
doing great in that series as well. Coming up against Pride Stalker Esports, who have had some great performances on stream as well, but really do come into the playoffs here as kind of, one of the lower group stage record teams out of our top four here. They went 3-2-6-4 and kind of have a little bit to prove here coming up against some real competition in the form of SK. They're going to lead off now by locking on in that Xin Zhao, likely to be going into the jungle for Kumazu.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. So for the side of PSE here, we've kind of seen that Xin Zhao was really that pick or ban situation for them. Not quite as much for the side of SK, where we have a bit more diversity, but we do see Kumazu's Gragas getting banned, which and his Nocturne, which those are two really powerful champions that we've seen him do have a really great performance on so far the split. But the Trundle response from SK immediately is honestly a really good one. This champion has been coming up significantly in the last month or so. The nerfs here and there to other champions in the jungle that have been really strong has just really kind of unlocked him. And with this Ziggs lock in as well, they're really kind of just looking for some great scaling and innate safety as well. With
So, Trajan, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing Xin Zhao and Amumu locked in here in the
yes.
same draft. So somebody's going into a little bit of an unexpected position somewhere or other. Leona being hovered over by SK, that's not nearly as exciting. But this really gives me pause. I'm really not sure what to make of this. As I gotta believe one of these guys is going into the top lane, but I have not seen very much out of either as of yet.
Oh, my friend. So the new hottest tech since his recent buff and about a patch afterwards has been a Mumu support. So this is I am willing to bet any amount of money that I have on this being an Amumu support right now. It's so much more versatile now that you have the double bandage toss. And once you hit that level 6, you get that Curse of the Sad Mummy unlocked and available. It's a huge team fighting mechanism for yourself. And because you're support, you're able to utilize items like Locket of the Iron Solari to really great effect. You can get into the middle of the team, give yourself some extra and your team some survivability, all the while decreasing magic resist and dealing true damage to other people. So it's greatly enhancing for champions that want to do magic damage, like the Kaisa, who does magic damage on her passive, her W as well.
All right, all right. So going to be another engaged support facing off against this Leona. Should be maybe a little bit more aggression coming from the PSE side as that Ziggs kind of just try to chill back, try to farm with those bouncing bombs for the time being. But we'll see. It is going to be junglers and bot laners, we believe, locked on in here in the first stage. As
Mhm.
we're going to get to some solo lane bans. Orianna taken off the board for the side of SK. Nar taken off by PSE, trying to get the Gymster some good matchups up there in that top lane. He's been one of the top laners in this league that we've paid a very close eye on. Definitely one that made an appearance in my all-star voting, for, not to say the least. And really excited to see what he might bust out here in this game. He's got some crazy stats over there, some of the highest damage percentages for a top laner out of
Mhm.
everybody in playoffs and everybody in the league. Might bust out one of those interesting split push carries this game.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too because Gymstar, a lot of his games have been on these really versatile, high utility tanks, right? You see a lot of Mundo, you see a lot of Ornn. There's a game of Cyan on there as well, and then you have a smattering of other champions, right? The Renekton, the Jace, the Kennen. What this tells me is that when he's on the weak side, it's not actually a weak side. He is so strong as an independent laner that he's able to just exert so much pressure on the other team that they have to do something about him, even if he's playing on a champion like this Ornn. And we hear do see here, in fact, excuse me, that the Shen is going to be locked in, and this is. I'm actually not too sure how this matchup goes into Camille. I do have to believe that it eventually will be set Shen favored, just because you're able to kind of block that precision protocol with your Spirit's Refuge.
Yeah, that's what comes to mind for me too. The ability to block out on those auto attacks up against a champion who really only has one ability that does damage other than the auto attacks in the form of that tactical sweep. Really does feel like that should be pretty favorable as long as he can pick his moments with Spirit's Refuge pretty effectively. And now Aegis going to take the blind Syndra here. We will see what Nukes wants to take into this. Nukes had some great performances last week, as we already called out. The Cassiopeia now is being hovered here, maybe for a little bit of comfort to face off against this Syndra. And also going to do a lot to shut down the PSE roster here. A lot of dashes to be found across the rest of this team comp. Syndra aside will really suffer up against that miasma. The Amumu and the Xin Zhao in particular feels like if they're not getting their dashes off, they really are not participating too much.
Yeah, and the other thing too for SK, what I'll say is I really like this adaptation.
Oh, seems like we may have lost Trajan there for a second, but nonetheless, the stream will continue to go on here. We do have a lot of an interesting setup here coming in from the side of SK. Really excited to see this AP bot laner in the form of the Ziggs come on out here. They're going to be really reliant on this Camille for AD damage, as well as the Trundle a little bit, coming in with that Divine Sunderer build. So curious to see how they're going to be setting up with what should, in theory, be a counter matchup at the top lane. They opted into taking this Shen up against the Camille. So assuming that she's not able to get too much of a lead early on, they might struggle a little bit in the form of their damage profile, facing off against multiple tanks in the form of this Amumu and this Shen. Meanwhile, though, on the side of PSE, they've got a really powerful dive composition set up here. That Shen is going to be able to stand united right into the middle of these fights, on top of something like the Amumu, on top of something like the Xin Zhao. Gets dive buddies along with Kai'Sa with that killer instinct. Should be super, super good to be able to kind of keep these team fights going the way that they want. And SK have a pair of really immobile AP carries to be engaged upon in form of this Ziggs and this Cassiopeia. If Stalker Esports can get the fight started on their terms, if they can pinch in SK, get the vision down, and find the engages that they're looking for, this composition seems brutal to play up against from the side of SK. So now I keep forgetting that I don't have Trajan sitting next to me here, but I think we're going to get that one resolved. We're going to throw it over to a quick break now while we get loaded on up into the game, but we will be right back here to get into game for game one of Stalker Esports taking on SK. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Aegis Defenders League Semifinals. We've got Pride Stalker Esports taking on SK here onto the Rift for game number 1. We've got the Amumu support being busted out by Pride Stalker Esports right here, right now. Excited to see how this one works on out.
I am very, very excited. Our first match in our first best of 5 of the split Gordo. We do get to see a movement support here on Glaceon. We do have a quick correction to make, though, as it is the Immoral one that will be playing up in the top lane instead of the Jimster. And unfortunately, Jimster will be working on a move, so best of luck to him on that. But Immoral one, Shen, Camille, great matchup. They're both going to be melee range champions, both going to want to be fighting, and I really kind of want to see what they can kind of get out of it, especially because Camille is a champion Maple Shade has a lot of experience on, has played it multiple times in the split itself, and has looked quite good on it in the times that we've seen him play it.
Yeah, that's kind of the ultimate caster curse when you think about it, is we spend a lot of champion select praising a guy and then he's not even in the game. That's unfortunate that we have that kind of power over who's playing in the game and the results of it, but it's a banner that we must wear with pride, Trajan, as Jungle Camp's about to be spawning here. We are going to see a start on the bottom side for the side of Pride Stalker Esports, start on the top side for More Sleep, so shouldn't be too much worry about the state of the crabs, at least early on. You can see Immortal One is camping here waiting for Maple Shade to make his path over, but does not look like he's going to actually end up finding anything.
Yeah, and we can kind of see here how both teams are making their alterations known. Kumazu going for a full clear as well as More Sleep. So both junglers confident in knowing that they want to be looking to get these early level 4s, potentially getting into these crabs just a little bit later. But I really want to see PSE look to dominate this mid lane. Nukes has the barrier, has Conqueror, so no really good escape option with that Miasma being the only option he has. And if Avius and Kumazu are able to get in there at all, just to kind of put any pressure on this Cassiopeia, she's going to absolutely crumble under it. So Nukes is going to have to be really careful. We've seen some really great performances out of him, but this isn't a Yone, man. This is going to be a Cassiopeia. You got to be a lot more careful on it.
Absolutely, here has opted for the barrier, as he pointed out there, making sure that will not get bursted completely out by that Syndra 100-0, at least not for a little while, but is taking a Dark Sphere here and there as Aegis is going to stack on up his wave. See a little bit of trading starting in the top lane as well. Shouldn't really expect this matchup to swing too hard one way or the other for a little while. You can see Immoral One's actually taking quite a bit of abuse there from the Precision Protocol on the side of Maple Shade. Does not yet have access to that Spirit's Refuge, has gone instead for the Q and the E first, but Kumazu coming up for a little bit of a gank. We'll see what Maple Shade gets onto him here. He does not have the Ignite, does have the Flash, so he's going to be able to just flash away and stay alive for the time being, but that is a nice gank from Kumazu to force that resource out early.
Yeah, and for Maple Shade, that's really, really rough. Your wave is in a really poor position right now, and Shen can just look to try to hold it, and all Kumazu has to do is just loop around and grab it again. So we'll see what he wants to go for here. One alteration that I think is really interesting that we didn't get to talk about here is that we saw Kumazu go from red Krugs all the way up to his blue buff to hit level 3. So all of his topside camps are going to be available. Picking up this top scuttle, able to make his way into those topside camps now. And with the wave slow pushing out now, if Maple Shade tries to contest anything for the Immoral One, the Xin Zhao can just go for a repeat gank and put a lot of pressure on Camille here. But it does look like a cheetah recall is going to come out from Immoral One, getting a quick little reset off, getting in early boots, which I really like here. Going for those plated steel caps, obviously. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, you can kind of see here now that the range disadvantage for PSE is going to start coming into effect a little bit earlier than I honestly expected. Reeve, once he gets that Lost Chapter, will be able to put a lot of pressure onto Dobbs and Glaceon, especially because if Glaceon tries to go in, Ziggs has that Satchel Charge, can just Satchel Charge away, get out of distance of the second bandage toss, and then you have Leona there to kind of cover you and give you that extra peel that you need as well.
Yeah, and early on, especially, the Mumu's a little bit at risk, but I'm getting interrupted here as Kumazu is coming up for the repeat gank. No flash could be available for Maple Shade, and he shorts the hook shot. That should be the end of him here as Immoral One going to follow that one on up. Going to give the first blood over to his jungler, and Kumazu going to get our first kill of the series there, going up to 1-0 on the Xin Zhao.
Yep, and Xin Zhao been on the receiving end of a few nerfs in the back with nukes. Some fancy footwork coming out there.
Yeah, he's just going to get stunned up there. That's a nice scout of the week coming through from Avius. He's going to unfortunately miss the siege minion there, but does get some nice damage onto Nukes. Nukes might have to go for a little bit of a recall sooner rather than later, and does not have access to the teleport. Did opt for that barrier, so would really be losing quite a bit of CS if he tried to go for it. So instead, he's going to stay. He's going to try to clear up that wave. Going to try to regen with potions and with his Twin Fang as much as he can, but really has to watch out here for Avius going for the all-in.
He's gonna get overexcited here. There's gonna be 3 people mid.
Yeah, Avi is actually going to have to flash back here, and that's going to really be a bit of a punish here. Nicely played. They knew that he wanted to punish Nukes for staying, wanted to get the fullest out of the advantage that he gained for himself off that nice trade earlier, but instead, SK calls over multiple members, gets the gank off, and forces Avius to flash away. Nicely played there.
Yeah, really good proactivity coming up from SK here. However, on the side of PSE, you can kind of just see that they are the ones in the driver's seat of this early game right now. They went into this game with a really good game plan. They knew they were going to lock the Amumu support, and they drafted really strongly around it now, right? The Shen Stand United is going to be really great for Dobbs when he wants to go in with that Void Assault, being able to just jump onto him, give him that extra bit of shielding and survivability, so it's incredibly hard for the side of SK to really try to burst him down, and then you have all the CC. It's not even crazy, but Reeve doesn't have the satchel charge either.
Yeah, Glacian has a little bit of an angle here coming out from the river, going to land a bandage toss, going to force the flash away from Reeve. There's the second bandage toss. Those are those Amumu buffs coming on through. The flash in from Kumazu, going to follow it up with the wind becomes lightning, and Dobbs going to get himself the second kill of the game as well. Stalker Esports claim themselves the first 2 kills of the game, and they get both top and bot off to very nice starts.
Yeah, and we saw that Pierceblade was off of a reset there, so it was a great opportunity for PSE to try to make a punish there. Reeve was forced to try to make that wave crash, otherwise risk setting up a freeze into a Kaisa Amumu, which is what you don't want to have happen, and just got run down by there. And it was really funny because at the end you saw this Amumu Glaceon did almost the entire health bar of Reeve by himself. It just simply didn't matter. This Amumu is gonna do an insane amount of damage if you're not careful, has a % health, and because of his E passive being able to reduce the amount of damage from auto attacks, it's something that you don't think about necessarily a ton. It's not as effective in this lane, obviously, because you know there's a Ziggs, but in your traditional EDC matchups, it's a lot more potent.
And it also works up against minion aggro the same way it does up against jungle monsters. So we'll give you that little bit of extra tankiness when you are going for plays like this. Glacier goes in there for that bandage toss, not going to end up landing it onto Reeve this time around. The satchel charge does get him out of dodge. You can see they're just trying to keep the pressure up in this bottom lane. They know that the Ziggs, especially without the flash, is super vulnerable to being ganked with all the lockdown that Stalker Esports has. You can see Kumazu already looking to come on in again. He's just going in circles here. The flash bandage toss comes on through from the side of Glacier. They are once again going to knock Reeve back into the alcove and pick up another kill there for Dobbs. 2-0 now in this Kaisa.
Yeah, and we're now starting to see the Ziggs pick really kind of bite SK in the butt because he's using so many abilities to clear these waves, and because you have a Kaisa that doesn't necessarily have the ability the desire to really hard push these waves. You're going to be overextending a lot and forcing it into a really unfavorable position for yourself for the bot lane of SK, and they're going to get punished for it repeatedly. So they kind of need to buckle up. Reeve and Pierceblade need to look to do something here, and honestly, I think it's Reeve needs to just sit under his turret, and Pierceblade needs to look to roam right now because there's not really any way you can win this 2v2 in the bot lane now. With Kaisa and Mumu, they're just way too strong.
Absolutely are here. That whole while more sleep engages in the counter jungling, recognizes that Kumazu is setting up his tent on the bottom lane and is basically just running in circles, repeat ganking Reeve. So he's been able to steal away this entire top half of the jungle, takes the ground, takes the wolves, has himself 10 CS lead as a result, which should balloon even higher as he goes back to clear away his own camps. Is also looking to pick up a Rift Herald here. So SK getting a lot of advantages in the jungle matchup off of Stalker Esports, committing so many resources towards this bottom lane.
Yep, and this Trundle pick is going to pay dividends the longer the game goes on, right? More sleep, Trundle, the subjugation is going to be absolutely massive, especially if you put it on Glaceon after he procs his Aftershock. It's going to wear off, and this Amumu going to have no stats. He's going to truly be a sad mummy when he goes back to the Gray Screen Simulator, but that's going to be up by the PSE to keep him protected and look for these plays before that happens.
Yeah, definitely here going to be really about that Trundle versus Kaisa now when we get into these fights. Kaisa's going to really be the force on the side of Pride Stalker Esports, who's going to be responsible for getting through the big health tank that Trundle is going to be. And More Sleep is just getting propelled ahead here, so you're going to need that Kaisa to have the advances. Now Kumazu is getting jumped here, going to immediately throw down that Crescent Guard to try to stay alive, but it's just getting collapsed on by too many members. More Sleep going to claim his first kill of the game there in the 1v1 jungle matchup with a little help out from his friends on the rest of SK. Now it is going to be an advantage on the map for SK.
You can kind of see here now Reeve too scared to leave his turret, not risking walking out past anything, and Pierceblade going for these aggressive plays. They know that if they're not careful, the Syndra will be able to get an advantage over on Nukes, but it's going to be 3 people here, and Pierceblade's in a bad spot.
Yeah, Pierceblade getting collapsed on here by the opposing support. Glaceon going to finish off that collapse, and Aegis going to be able to pick up that kill. Now it is going to be the Rift Herald thrown on down by More Sleep, just trying to cash on in while the plates are still standing. Going to be 160 gold into the inventory of both Nukes and More Sleep, but now they're going to have to head for the hills as they are outnumbered in this mid lane. Bandage toss goes wide. Nukes is just going to be forced to back away.
Yep, Herald charge does get off, pick up a couple of plates there in the mid turret for the side of SK, and thankfully Nukes was able to stay in the area, so picked up the gold on that as well. So Cassiopeia, while the lane has not been going super favorable, and yes, Avius did just get a kill, that gold mitigation has been mostly mitigated by the fact of those plates falling. So for SK, your mid lane is still remaining pretty even, but you have to be worried about when you're looking at your top lane right now, or your bot lane, excuse me. Even in the top lane, right, Immoral One has been doing a really good job of negating Maple Shade, not really letting him look for these super high value plays, or even looking for aggressive trades that could force Shen into a really poor position of having to reset and lose a lot top lane. Immoral One's just been doing a great job of absorbing that pressure right now, and PSC are really poised to kind of go into this mid game in a really strong state.
They definitely are here. Gale Force already completed for the side of Dobbs. Should give a little bit of extra assassination potential to the side of that Kaisa, as well as a little bit more mobility. Should definitely pay off dividends up against what is a relatively immobile comp for the side of SK. Yes, they've got the Camille, who's got 2 dashes in the kit, but as far as League of Legends comps in 2021 go, SK really not the most mobility that you can have by any means, and Dobbs is going to appreciate having that advantage, make sure he's going to be able to kite on out these fights all the better.
Yeah, and it's going to be a lot harder too, as we kind of mentioned, that Nukes has the Conqueror, doesn't actually have access to that phase rush. So this Cassiopeia is going to be really, really slow, not able to kind of kite away. And Avius opted for the phase rush. Good flash from him there, being able to just narrowly get away from the Zenith Blade of Pierceblade there now. But this mid turret is going to look like it might fall. There are 4 members from the side of SK up in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's just going to get executed on down, and now it looks like Avius may have not considered the possibility of the execute coming through from Reeve. He just stays up too far, gets pillared by More Sleep, and is going to get taken on down. That kill going to go over to the side of Nukes, going to get him rolling on the Snake Lady. So now Kumazu going to finish on off his birds and likely going to have to back away here sooner rather than later. They are at a numbers disadvantage in the area and on the map, but instead Glaceon going to go for the engage, going to land the Curse of the Sand Mummy out of 2, and just like that, Reeve is taken right off the map. Now the backup coming on through. It is the W landed for the side of Dobbs. Can he go for the Killer Instinct? He goes on in. He's diving next to his team, trying to keep the fight going. Nuke's going to be taken on down. That's a double kill for Kumazu. Pierceblade going to be the next target. They're trying to finish him on off, but the shutdown has already come through onto Dobbs. Kaisa not going to be available for the rest of this fight, and it is going to end up being Pride Stalker Esports down 3 members to 2 on the side of SK.
Yeah, and what started with a really good engage for PSC just ended up being a disaster for them. Maple Shade able to follow up with the TP to make sure that they more wanted to get matched, but Bay spoken too soon.
Yeah, More Sleep now in a 1 versus 2, trying to turn it back onto Avius, not going to be able to do so, and PSE get themselves back for that lost fight earlier on. Seems like a little bit of an overforce, but weighing in, everybody traded back and forth all over across the entire fight. It is a little bit more even, and the gold does reflect that. But
Maple Shade is flash.
A little bit more careful there with the use of those abilities.
Oh.
Maple Shade dives on through, finishes off another kill on Avius. These guys are just trading neck and neck here. As now Glaceon going to jump over the wall, Reeve going to flash over to the other side to stay alive, but the second bandage toss comes on through. Glaceon can follow you everywhere you go, Reeve, and is just going to keep chasing him on down with those tears. Finishes off another kill, solo kill going over to the support on the side of Pride Stalker Esports. Now they're looking to keep this fight going, not have any resources left on their Amumu, though. Already used the flash, already used both bandage tosses, just going to disengage and claim themselves the free kill on Reeve. They got now 0 and 4 on this Ziggs, just as being given no room to breathe by the Mummy.
That was a very chaotic couple of minutes that we sat there. Kumazu's on the wrong side of the jungle now too, so it's not even over yet. They're gonna pick up another kill probably.
Yeah, Crescent Guard gets him a little bit of distance. He is going to try to head for this Blast Cone. Pierce Blade is here, but going to get knocked away as well. And it does look like
Was
Kumazu
he out?
finds his way out. There's no way to really get over to him. Glaceon is running interference, making sure that Maple Shade can't chase around for the flank. That means that Pride Stalker Esports, they're going to keep their jungler alive for the time being, but they are completely zoned off of this dragon. You got to believe that one's going to go over to the side of SK.
Yeah, 100%. And we do see here that it will be an Ocean Dragon picked up, but it does look like a PSC are going to be proactive on the map, looking to trade it for a tier 1 up in the top lane. So they're not going to give anything without being able to take something. However, when we take a moment to consider that last fight there, Dobbs 2-0 on this Kai'Sa was incredibly far ahead of Reeve. R'd into the middle of 3 people for the side of SK and just immediately got punished for it. So Dobbs has to be a lot more careful going into these fights and choosing these engagements a bit more wisely, because SK can just look to kind of force onto them here.
Yeah, we talked about the mobility making the difference, but not when you use it like that. But now Maple Shade's going to be dove 1v3, but he's actually going to turn it back onto the Amumu, getting himself a nice little kill there. But the shutdown gold goes over onto Dobbs. Definitely going to be a little bit more favorable for the side of Pride Stalker Esports, but they committed so many resources over on that side. We'll see what SK is able to claim across the map. Pride Stalker Esports do claim that top lane turret, but it looks like Reeve will likely be able to finish off this bottom one with the satchel charge.
Yeah, Dobbs being able to pick up that 600 gold shutdown there is absolutely massive.
Pierce Blade lands it. Mega Inferno Bomb is up. They should be able to finish him on off here. Reeve going to get himself his first kill of the game. Going to finish off the turret as well. That is a big influx of gold into the Ziggs.
Yeah, Aegis had a really solid laning phase throughout it, but as we transition into this mid game now, it's just kind of continuously getting punished and punished. This Mega Inferno Bomb combination plus the tactical sweep from Maple Shade was more than enough to get the kill up in the mid lane, and in the bot lane there, we saw Zenith Blade combined with the Solar Flare and the Mega Inferno Bomb again, picking up another kill. So Reeve on this Ziggs 1-4-4, not, you know, in the best situation he's ever been, but only 600 gold down onto Dobbs right now. And as far as the gold is concerned, it's pretty much even across the board, as we can see right now. Like, there's a marginal difference up in the jungle. Mid lane is going to be gapped quite a bit now if we take a look and see that Nukes is going to have the biggest one out of all of them. But on the flip side, you can see that it's going to be negated by the side of Dobbs and Glacier on this bot lane from PSE, doing a fantastic job of roaming around this map, being proactive and looking for these plays. Now, this Amumu, you can kind of see really start to pay dividends. Had, in fact, finished his first item, the Abyssal Mask. Not a traditional one that you normally see, and I'm a little interested to understand the reasoning behind that, but you can only imagine that the Iron of the Locket Solari is going to be followed quite shortly after this.
Yeah, going to amplify some of the magic damage coming through from both Syndra and Kai'Sa, I suppose. But yeah, certainly an interesting option there for the side of Glacehound. It should also give him that magic resist to survive up against Nukes and Reeve. That is really the primary source of damage coming through from the side of SK. Yeah, as you can see on those gold leads there, Dobbs is the biggest member on the map, although SK is a little bit more equitable across the members of their team. Everybody's sitting right around 6K, got to be like 6.2, 6.3 at this point. It's now Aegis getting engaged on in the bot lane. Maple Shade going on in. Kumazu is here for the interference, but Aegis has taken 3/4 of his HP already, and Maple Shade's got more left in the tank. Still has access to that Hextech ultimatum. Not going to use it wisely. Recognizes that he's in a 1 versus 3 scenario, but a nice trade there and a nice hold on this bottom lane turret, 1 versus 3 from the side of Maple Shade.
Being able to keep that turret up for SK is absolutely massive in terms of pressure on the map. They're able to get the bot turret down to PSE, and because of that, that's just going to open the map quite a bit more for them in terms of dragon control here. And we do see that it is going to be a mountain dragon on the Rift for the Soul, and SK want to try to stack that for themselves, get these additional stats onto this Leona, onto this Trundle, and if they're able to get the Soul, I mean, it's going to be a lot harder for, you know, Dobbs or Avius to look to really burst them down. Something that they want to try to look for, but Maple Shade has been really good about making sure that, besides that little bit of a hiccup in the top lane, making sure that he's not going to be able to get punished. That hookshot is doing an absolutely insane amount of work for him this game.
Absolutely is here, really making sure he can get out of those dangerous situations. So you can see a little bit of a focus towards top side from the side of Pride Stalker Esports. They are looking to claim themselves that Scuttle Crab, as they know that there isn't going to be Baron up there in about another minute. Another dragon going to spawn in just about the same time frame. 1-1 in that objective for now for Pride Stalker Esports facing off against SK. We will see which one's able to get themselves onto the third of the game and get that advantage early on. So there is just going to be a little bit of farming up until then, making sure that your waves are in the state you want them to be. And Aegis in particular are going to have to catch this top wave, get it shoving back before the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, Aegis and Immortal One both have TPs available. The Stand United is there, but SK are going to be the first ones to get a shot at this Dragon. Mid tier 1's down, bot tier 1 is down. Dragon is spawning, and they have complete vision control over this river and part of the bot side for the side of PSE. So you can see that they are ready and willing to just kind of keep this mid push going, and when they're ready they'll just walk into the river and go for it. Being able to, you know, keep the members of PSE in these choke points makes it a lot easier for the Miasma, the Hextech Ultimatum, just anything that they want to kind of control the state of where this fight will go. In addition, I didn't even get to mention that the second Herald got summoned in the mid lane, so that's going to be another thing that PSE has to deal with. And you can see Dobbs stopped to pick it up, and the Dragon will get started up, but they are going to try to contest this.
Moral One's in the bot lane, trying to claim that bot lane outer, but is going to be a little bit late to this fight as a result. Does have access to the Stand United. Kamazu just getting zoned out too hard, going to throw down the Crescent Slash there to try to immune Pierce Blade, Zenith Blade, but the follow-up comes through nonetheless. Here comes Stand United trying to keep him alive. Dobbs is on the other side as well, tries to Killer Instinct out, but gets stuck by the Hextech Ultimatum. Still not going to be able to finish him on off. They do get one kill back on a Maple Shade, but they have lost their support in trade. The stun comes through on a Pierce Blade, trying to finish off that target. The Unleashed Power is going to be able to do it. Now Nukes is heading for the hills. He's going to get flashed on by Immortal One. The taunt comes on through, and Immortal One going to finish off that kill. Now there's going to trade back on the other side. Aegis going to end up falling on down. More Sleep now is trying to carry this fight, trying to get onto Dobbs, but it's just getting kited too bad by the side of Dobbs. It is going to be a fight win for the side of Pride Stalker Esports.
Yeah, really clean fight there for the side of PSE. SK were able to pick up the Dragon for themselves, look to try to disengage him. They thought that they had the pick onto Kamazu, but Gordrinker was able to keep him alive for so long there, and because of that triumph, he just refused to die in that fight. And the Stand United coming in clutch there for the side of PSE, being able to get on top of Dots as Maple Shade very correctly wanted to go into the backline. Hextech Ultimatum, the Kaisa, kept her alive long enough so that it didn't really make that much of a difference, and because of that, Maple Shade cut off from the rest of his team, did get gunned down. And Kaisa now, his 2 items, has the Wit's End finished, decided to get a Zeal first, potentially maybe looking at doing a Phantom Dancer or Runons, and then opting to go into the Wit's End. So a little bit of a delay there for the second item, but Dobbs is very firmly ahead of the curve if you take a look at it. Now, Reeve did pick up a kill in that fight, has been slowly getting that CS back for himself, and is sitting on 2 items. Demonic Embrace and Leandris are nothing to scoff at. Will be doing a lot of damage over time to the side of PSE, and if SK are given enough time, we'll be able to poke them out of really any form of engagement if they want over these next few objectives.
Yeah, Glaceon is very visible on that pink ward that's been layered in the top lane by the side of SK. See if he notices at any point. Looks like the answer is no, or at least isn't willing to commit the time to auto-attack it down. Not going to be able to find any engage there, but was still able to protect Aegis while he shoved out that wave in the top lane. So now we're going to see everybody grouping back around towards middle. That top mid-outer is still available for the side of SK. PSE would definitely like to take that one on down, but it is so tough to siege up against these double AP mages.
Yep, and we can kind of see now that both teams really very cautiously moving around the map, Gordo. They don't want to pull any unnecessary triggers, and the gold lead is, you know, the biggest it's been at almost 600-700 gold this entire game so far, and that tells you just how close both teams are playing it to the wire. Now, Nukes did get picked up as a kill in that last altercation, does have the Zynius finish, does have the bladed jewel, completed as well. So this Cassiopeia will be doing quite a bit of damage and has a lot of innate safety now. Tier of the God is not doing a whole lot for them, but you can see Immortal One picked up his anathemas. I cannot speak tonight. I apologize, everyone. But Glaceon, hello.
It's really all the made-up words that's getting you here.
Oh my gosh!
Blame you for that one, Trajan. But as we are going to be, it is anathema. Thank you to production for pointing that one out. Over to us as now we're going to get the siege going in that middle lane. This is the objective that PSE wants, but the minion wave is already gone, and they don't want to risk taking any more shots than they have to. Instead, they're going to kite up towards the top side here. 90 seconds to go until the next dragon is available. Getting control over this Baron might force SK to make a move.
Yeah, and PSC, the best thing they can do is try to look for a pick. They've got the Amumu, they've got the Syndra, get a pick that results into a team fight, right? If they try to go for a straight 5v5, you're fighting into a Leona, you're fighting into a Cassiopeia. It's really difficult to do that, especially because Maple Shade and Pierce Blade can just dive your backline, and Kumatsu's going to get caught here.
Yeah, gets stuck up on that pillar there, does not have room to walk in between it and the wall, is forced to blow the Crescent Guard just to stay alive. And now there's a teleport being channeled in the bottom lane. Aegis is coming in for this play. The taunt comes on through, but so does the hook shot. Maple Shade has created so much distance now, might not be able to be chased down. No flash available for the side of the Immoral One. He just can't close the gap. Tactical sweep comes on through. Can the Shadow of the Weak land? It looks like the answer is no, and Maple Shade survives there, blowing the teleport from the opposition, and now more sleep is coming on through to try to turn this play into 2 versus 2. The Hextech Ultimatum is available, does not get used for the time being. Scatter of the Weak comes on through, flash forward, Hextech Ultimatum onto Avius with the second Precision Protocol. So much damage comes through onto the Syndra, he gets bursted out before he can use the Unleashed Power. Now Immoral One is stuck in a 1 versus 2, has no opportunities to burst on through here. Shutdown comes through for the side of more sleep. It's a 2 for 0 for SK in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and that was a really great collapse there from the side of PSC or from SK, or excuse me, because after the TP from Avius was committed into the bot lane, SK could have just tried to rotate onto the Nash and look to force a fight there, but they knew that, hey, we have the advantage if we go for this, and Dragon's going to be spawning soon, so we look to play for this. And now that's going to be a third Dragon picked up for them, putting them close onto Soul Point. And because of the members of PSE being dead, there's no way that they can even try to contest this Nash. So SK are able to get the best of both worlds out of that play there.
Soul point for SK, a huge deal here. The gold is still neck and neck, but being able to secure that soul would really be the breaking point here for determining who has a massive favorability to win. Would be the side of SK if they are able to claim those perma shields, if they are able to survive on out through the engage from PSE that much more effectively. They are going to need one more dragon in order to do that. PSE just have to play tighter. They have to make sure that they have control over the bottom side of the map once the next dragon starts spawning, and they have to stop giving up kills in these unfavorable situations. Now, Fierce Blade going to be caught out here a little bit by Kumazu, but should have the tankiness with Eclipse and the ability to just walk on out of there. Reeve now continuing to protect against this siege in the mid lane. They still haven't been able to take down mid-outer. I called this out like 6 minutes ago, Trajan, and they just still can't bust through it.
Yeah, it's really hard to siege into this composition. Cassiopeia Ziggs, they can clear waves instantly in the blink of an eye, so to say, if you're not careful. And it does look like this wave might be able to reach the turret and it might be able to go down. Kumazu's on a flank. They might go for a fight here even. But no, they're just not going to commit. They're too scared to try to go for anything.
Yeah, and rightfully so. If they are able to kite back here with Nukes and Reeve, it's very tough for PSE to really be able to take the fight. They need to be able to find the engage angles that they're looking for. And if Kumazu isn't able to land, Wind becomes lightning. If he isn't able to dash in, if Glaceon doesn't have an angle for a bandage toss, really tough to be able to get the fights that they want here. Avius is once again at half HP. Kumazu dashes over the wall looking for a little bit of a fight here, but More Sleep is just munching down onto him, staying alive, but now might be a little bit caught out. 5 members dive onto Kumazu instantly. Instead, it's going to be Pierce Blade left behind and taken down by Dobbs. It's 5 versus 4 now for the side of Pride Stalker Esports. It's the best opportunity they're going to get. Kumazu dives forward farther, goes into the stasis with the Stand United onto him. Immortal One is now joined the fight, but has no one to engage onto. It is just going to be that 1 for 0 for the side of Pride Stalker Esports.
Yeah, that was Avius is continuing to just step up on the center. That did not.
The bandage toss onto Nukes nicely immunes the Curse of the Sad Mummy there with the stasis, but it just might not be enough. Dobbs is going to be able to finish him on off, but look at Maple Shade on the side. Has so many low HP targets to go forward onto. They've already finished off Kumazu. They're going to look for more. Maple Shade could kill everybody here if he just gets the fight correctly. Dives forward with the hook shot. Is trying to kite it on back. The bandage toss comes on through, finishes off onto that Amumu. Now the bombs come on through to finish off more targets. It's only Dobbs left alive all of a sudden, and SK come out with the fight at the end of the day, and they're going to be able to claim this Baron.
Yeah, both teams are just having a little issue respecting the other team right there, you know? You saw PSE, they got the pick onto Pierce Blade, sacrificed himself for the right of the team, but instead of going, hey, we got a pick, we can look to pressure Baron, we have Shen available still, and he's matching Camille in the bot lane. They wanted to go for a continued fight. Kumazu walked through Nukes Miasma entirely, and they burnt the Stand United for almost nothing, and they got the stopwatch out of him. So not worth in almost any situation that you want to look at it. And then they overstayed with such low health bars, not expecting or even really, it seems like thinking about Maple Shade being able to rotate up there on this Camille. Full health, has the TP available. You haven't seen him in a while. Where's he going to be? He's going to be coming after all of us. We're all 300 health. This man cannot resist a free buffet, Gordo.
Now a 3k gold lead for the side of SK here, and going to have the purple buff in time for the next dragon spawn. A huge advantage now to the side of SK. They blow this game wide open now and are going to look to keep the siege going, can claim some inner turrets if they find their opportunities. Reeve is still so adept at closing those out on this Ziggs pick. A minute 20 to go until Mountain Soul is on the table for SK. You gotta believe they're gonna be willing to fight again.
Yeah, it's at the point now where for the side of SK where they've hit critical mass, right? You see the Cassiopeia on 3 items. The Syndra has barely even started her second item, has a blasting wand, but that's going to be it. It doesn't really do a whole lot for them. In the jungle matchup, your Trundle's up almost a full item on top of Xin Zhao. So Kumazu really far behind, had really good early game proactivity, but when you're down 50 CS now, on more sleep on the Trundle, it doesn't really matter. Camille, 3.5 items, has that Sterix gauge, has that Titanic Hydra, is going to be almost impossible to kill, especially because Dobbs opted to go for the Gale Force instead of the Kraken Slayer. So the damage output's going to be significantly stifled from this Kaisa. We do have 4 items on her though, so like that is not something to laugh at all, right? Infinity Edge is complete, Ruinance Hurricane is there. This Kaisa will do a lot of damage if unchecked and given the ability to. But Reeve on the Ziggs now, 3.5 items, has the stopwatch. You have the Zanyas onto nukes. It feels like it's going to be really hard for PSE to look for any form of engagement. And all SK have to do is just kind of start gaining control of the jungle and let Maple Shade push these waves into Immoral One.
Yeah, absolutely. Here with the Dragon spawning up soon, PSE do have control over that bottom river. Have got to watch out, though, for potential engages coming through from the side of SK. Immoral One and Maple Shade trading back and forth here. The turret targeting Maple Shade, they're going to be making the difference, making that trade as close to even as possible. But even then, Immoral One get a little bit outscaled here up against the Camille. The Dragon's already even started, but More Sleep is charging on in. Kumazu going to turn towards him, going to finish that one off, going to secure that and make sure that the Drake isn't coming on through. And that's a big curse of the Sad Mummy for Glaceon, but does it mean anything here? They're finally able to finish off one target, now diving forward onto Nukes, trying to finish him off, not going to be able to do so, and Maple Shade has arrived off of the TP, dives over the wall, finishes off on to the side of Dobbs, and is looking to finish off onto Immoral One as well. It looks like it is going to be everybody except for Aegis, and even Aegis is soon to join them. Pierce Blade looking to keep that chase going, has a very low Syndra ahead of him, not going to be able to close that gap, but is an ace for all intents and purposes, as Pierce Blade going to try to fish for one more there. But SK have the control they need. They're going to bust on through this base with the Baron buff.
Yeah, this is going to be the base crack for them to be able to pick up an inhibitor for themselves, and I would expect to see them rotate both to the top and bot lane as waves are starting to mount up there for themselves as well. They can really look for it. Maple Shade critically able to get into this fight in the TP. It looked like it was such a good engage for PSE, but the Cassiopeia R was just in time enough to stop the Glaceon on the Samumu from looking for anything else, and Dobbs ulted into the fight without anyone else there again, and again was punished for it. You saw this Kaisa just kind of got absolutely destroyed because they weren't paying attention to the rest of the positioning for them. And PSE, it feels like they're kind of trying to grasp and just struggle a little too much into some of these fights. Yes, they're able to pick up the Dragon and deny the soul from SK, but at what cost? Their base has been cracked. They're starting to lose more of these turrets, and their map is slipping away from them faster and faster.
Certainly is here. The door may have shut a little bit here for the side of PSE. As you said, it's so difficult for them to get any of those picks now. The stasis is coming through for both of the mages here, and even Maple Shade is now just so tanky and has access to that Death Stance as well as they have Sterix. It's so difficult to layer down enough damage to really be able to finish off any targets. This Syndra really doesn't have the burst potential that she once had, as so much of it just gets nullified by the side of SK. And even with a great engage like Glaceon found in that last fight, it looked like they were really only able to finish off one target. The other one was able to kite it on out of there, and then Maple Shade arrives at the teleport and turns around the whole fight. SK are just executing on these team fights better, and their composition suits them more as they get later and later into the game.
Yeah, and this is a really small detail, Gordo, too, but one thing I've noticed for the side of PSE is they have absolutely 0 Grievous wounds, right? Now, for the side of SK, they don't really have much either, but when you're looking at a Camille with a Titanic Hydra, with a Death Stance, with a Divine Sunder, you're seeing a Divine Sunder on a Trundle, and you know Cassiopeia has built-in healing into her E, her Twin Fangs, you would really think that you might want to pick up some Grievous wounds at some point. Oh, excuse me, Immoral One has Thornmail, but I would really expect at the point that this Kai'Sa's at to have an Executioner's Blade at some point.
Yeah, for certain, and even the Thornmail, it's like the Shen is not going to be the target that's getting hit by the Cassiopeia and everything. They would need to land the CC to get that Thornmail proc, and tough for Shen to do that one too. You know, that's part of the problem here, is that he's having difficulty getting his angles into these fights. 1v1 here up against this Shen. There's Spirit's Refuge coming on through, but it is going to go away sooner rather than later, and Hextech Ultimatum going to keep him locked in place. Maple Shade picks up the 1v1 in the bottom lane up against his top lane opponent, and meanwhile the rest of his team, they're just busted through towers in the top lane.
Yeah, oh, Maple Shade's gonna get going by Dobbs here.
Oh, Dobbs is trying to finish this one off, but he's got to be careful. That's a big true damage Q coming on through. Not going to quite be enough, though. The Gale Force additional damage gets a little bit of distance, gets a little bit of execution, and is able to finish that one on off. This is now a 4 versus 4 on the map. Dobbs is incredibly low HP. Going to go claim that red buff. Going to return to base. Got to spend some of that fat shutdown gold that he just picked up on off of Camille, and not quite going to be able to have any large results off the back of it. Nobody going to win any fights. Nobody can claim any barons off of that one.
Yeah, Camille sitting on 4.5 items, looking to finish up the fifth one for themselves. I do believe the term Gordo is fair and balanced. Getting hit by 1,000 true damage in 2.5 seconds. That's what most players would call that, right? Thanks, Riot. But credit is due where its credit's due, right? Maple Shade has been playing this Camille absolutely amazingly throughout this entire first game, looking able across the map, getting some really good splits, and being able to pick up kills in these fights that the rest of their team might not have been able to reach, right? You don't have a ton of backline potential outside of Pierce Blade, so being able to come into these fights just a little bit later than when they begin allows him to look at these carries, get on top of Dobbs, get on top of Avius, the relatively immobile champions once they're in that Hextech ultimatum and don't have the ability to try to duel him.
Oh, more sleep just face checking here, and there's so much damage from Dobbs' Kaisa. He's going to be able to finish that one off. Now, Killer Instincts over the wall is looking to keep this fight going. Pierce Blade trying to lock him on down, not going to be able to do so, but the damage from Nukes is still huge. There goes the Hextech ultimatum. Dobbs is not going to be long for this world now. He ends up going on down. Avis still has access to that unleashed power. Will he be able to find an angle in this fight? Both mages are still alive and are dealing damage to Immortal One, as is Maple Shade. They are just bursting on through this Shen. Looks like the fight is not going to go the way of PSE, despite an excellent start there by finishing off more sleep. SK once again just come out on top, 2 for 3, and now Maple Shade chasing down onto Immortal One, looking to turn that 3 into 4. That's going to be the execution coming on through, and SK might just be able to close out the game here.
Yeah, Avius forced to burn the TP to get back into the base. PSE at 35 minutes were able to pick up that mid-tier 1 for themselves. Congratulations. But TP gun be coming in from Maple Shade, fully healed up. Hextech ultimatum will not be quite up yet, but the first start's going to fall down, and that's going to be... Oh, that's a lot of damage.
Maple Shade flashes off the post shot there, finishes off the opposing mid laner. Glaceon now has to fill that role, has his jungler coming on.
Oh my god.
He's already down as well, just has only one item still, and none of them protect him from the damage that Maple Shade has. Maple Shade is just popping off here in the base, and if the inhibitor respawned, Maple Shade actually can't even finish off the Nexus even if he wanted to. Now it's going to go on down. Now SK are certainly going to finish off this game. They're looking to pad their stats a little bit, pick up a couple more kills where they can. Finally going to be able to do so, and SK are going to claim game number 1.
What a great performance from the side of SK. Looked really even across both teams for that early and mid-game transition. And PSE even were advantaged going into that, we thought. They had the momentum with them. They had the ability to get those picks with that Amumu and the standing A from the Shen, but a lot of positioning errors just kind of cost them so much throughout that. And because of that, this Camille, able to scale up, pick up a lot of extra kills, became a huge late game threat too early for them to try to deal with. And you could even see that last team fight. Dobbs was doing an insane amount of damage, but when Camille walks up and hits you with a single Q and your entire health bar is gone, there's not a whole lot you can do about that, Gordo.
Yeah, and we talked about that Shen up against Camille matchup. They had the counter pick there. They opted for the Shen for the global pressure, whereas it might not have quite as much lane dominance, and just did not end up paying off for them. The fights in the mid game were incredibly close even after Shen got involved. It wasn't really able to be backbreaking for the side of Pride Stalker Esports, and that means SK just eventually outscale. They get more value out of the Camille than the other side got out of the Shen, and that ends up being a really big tipping point in this game.
Yeah, and the Aurora one, like, on the Shen, like, was able to absorb a lot of pressure and do it really well. I think only solo died to Maple Shade once in lane, and that wasn't until it was at the inhibitor turret in bot lane. So throughout the course of the game, was able to do a great job of keeping Maple Shade in check, but unfortunately was able to let Maple Shade get to that scaling point, right? Had a lot of kills up for themselves, and at some point was just going, you know what? I'm just going to go for your backline, and you can't really stop me. So I'm really interested to see what kind of alterations PSE want to make into this next game, because they really went for a strong dive composition, but it's kind of hard to do that when you're into, a Camille, Cassiopeia, and a Ziggs.
Absolutely is there. As you said there, Trajan, this is only game 1 of a best of 5. We've got plenty more games in store for tonight, and these two squads did go 1-1 when they played against each other in the play-in. So we're going to throw it to a quick break now while we get into draft for game number 2, and we are going to be right back with more of the ADL semifinals. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everybody. It was a short little break there in between game one and game two, as we are already into draft for game two of these ADL semifinals. SK going to be staying on the blue side, PSE or SK going to be swapping to the blue side, PSE going to be taking the red side this time around. As already going to see some similar bands to what we saw in game number one.
Yeah, Gragas Nocturne, you really can't afford to let Kumazu get played on it. And his early game, his Zinjao looked pretty good, but overall, I think that champion has just kind of fallen out of favor a lot. I think there's just better picks, especially when you have like the J4 available, the Trundle that we got to see into game one that Morsleep played. But we'll have to see kind of see what anticipations and alterations PSC want to make as we get into game two here. Similar bans coming across the board pretty much though. Varus just SK has no interest in letting Dobbs play that champion. They saw what he could kind of do on a Kaisa, and it looks pretty. It honestly did not look awful for him. Just a few position errors cost the team just too much though, so they were punished pretty heavily for it. The Ziggs will get banned, so SK does not have the ability to first pick it here. Um,
Yeah. Kumazu
I'm
first picked
really
the Xin Zhao in this position. We'll
yeah.
see if that's what he wants to go for this time around. Wise choice by PSE to ban away the Ziggs. It's not the kind of champion they want to put Dobbs on. Dobbs really is their primary carry, especially
Oh.
now that Jimster is not on the roster. But speaking of DPS there, that's going to be a Kog'Maw just locked on in here. Freshly buffed a little bit, I believe. Got some slight buffs in the most recent patch. And now going to be coming through either in bottom or potentially in mid lane.
That is a very bold first pick coming out from SK. I am almost expecting it to be in the bot lane, but I'm very curious to see where it goes. But it looks like PSG are just going to continue to lock in this Zinjao. And Gordo, I'm going to be honest, I'm not happy to see him here. I don't think that he's going to be the tool that they need to really kind of push them into this series if they want to be able to come back and take it away from SK. I think that the J4 is just a lot better right now. You have options available. Just like you could even take the Trundle. You could even threaten to flex with the Amumu because for God forbid Amumu jungle is not awful right now. But the Xin Zhao is good at creating a decent amount of space, but we kind of saw him just get outscaled too heavily last game by the side of SK.
Yeah, the blind Kog'Maw though really feels like something that could be punished by the Xin Zhao in particular, at least a little bit. Just a lot of nice dive and damage coming on through. But it does look like a more sleep, more than comfortable to take the Trundle up against that one again here.
Mhm.
Is the Tristana lock in here? That could be for Dobbs or for Avius. We'll presume it's for Dobbs to face off up against this Kog'Maw. If it is for Reeve, indeed, would definitely be an 80 carry that can punish the Kog'Maw early on, can go aggressively, can deal a whole bunch of burst damage, and can force him a little bit more farther back. See now what SK want to round out their first round with. You got to believe it would be the support. Nautilus being hovered on here. Not really, the traditional pairing with the Kog'Maw. You'd believe it would be a Lulu or some kind of enchanter, but it is going to be the Nautilus locked on in here to give a little bit of engage power from that support position.
Yeah, it has a good amount of utility available too, right? It means that Tristana can't really jump in without getting rooted and then CC'd for a couple of seconds by Pierce Blade, and Pierce Blade has played the champion a bit, so we are within that comfort territory zone. It also means that it's a champion that PSE can't pick, right? Nautilus Tristana, incredibly oppressive when they go for these all-ins, and they're just going to pick up the Lulu for themselves here. So right now they've got a pretty squishy bot lane. They have a good amount of utility for it, but they don't have anything that can, necessarily kill the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, for certain here. It's going to have, a big fat load of damage coming through from the Tristana and the Xin Zhao, but certainly not going to be a really kill-focused lane, at least not as of yet. Camille going to be banned away from the side of Pride Stalker Esports. They're going to keep Maple Shade off of that champion this time around. Seems like a wise decision, given how game number one ended up going. We'll see what else SK wants to go for here. As solo laners, once again, the remaining champions to be selected, unless something's getting flexed somewhere crazy. Is just going to be the Camille band so far. Shen going to be banned away as well. So some new top laners at least going to show their faces in game number two.
Yeah, they're going to be able to ban away quite a few of those options available for them here. And PSC do have the option of flexing a couple of champions, right? The Tristana Lulu, both really versatile. You can see them go in the mid lane. You can see them go in the bot lane. We haven't seen Tristana mid that much anymore, really, honestly. Ever since they did that update to Lucian, even before that, I would say you haven't seen as much of her. Well, at least I haven't personally. You're seeing a lot more of these mages kind of get brought back into the spotlight because Riot finally decided to buff their item optimizations again. But the Gnar will get banned away from Maple Shade, just not going to give him any more of that proactive play power, that ability to just look for these really good engages. The set is going to be an insta-lock here from PSC, so they had to have expected that, and this is going to be a relatively good pick for them into the SK. Set doesn't necessarily have a ton of tank stats, so the subjugate isn't as, we could say as effective, but he's gonna have a lot of health, does a lot of true damage with that haymaker, and Nautilus and Trundle can't really look to go for these heavy engages because he'll just throw them right back into them.
Yeah, the Wukong going to be the pick up against it here, looking to farm it on up, scale on into being a team fighting force later on. Should be pairing well with the Kog'Maw, with the Trundle, looking to scale on up into these team fights later into the game. Now it's all up to what we see in the mid lane position here for the side of SK. Just going to have is going to have to be blind picked, and it is going to be looking like the Yone Nukes had a crazy pop off game on this last week on stream. Now we're going to be taking it once again here. It was banned away from him in game number 1. He's going to be taking it up against whatever PSE are willing to throw against it in game number 2.
I wonder if this was going to be Lulu mid now. I feel like that's just annoying enough of a champion that if you put it mid into nukes on this Yone, that he's going to go insane. He's going to hate his life. But, we could see. More likely than not, will probably end up being Tristana. Okay. It is going to be a Tristana Lulu bot lane and the Malphite lock-in. What do you think, Gordo? Is it going to be going mid or is it going to be going top?
I mean, mid lane up against Yone can't be the worst thing in the world. I suppose it kind of makes sense. Could really be either solo lane in either position here for both teams. Really, when you think about it, the Wukong can be flexed over towards that middle lane as well if they so desire it. But yeah, so going to be some beefy tanks from the PSE here to be taken into their solo lanes, and that is really going to be reliant on the side of this Tristana to be their primary DPS, as they do not have a lot of it coming from elsewhere. They got to be thankful for that Lulu now, as it's buffing up this Tristana and giving her better auto attacks is really going to be the only way they can deal damage to the front line of SK.
Yeah, and I mean, when we take a look at it here, PSE's comp position, they just want to be going forward. They want to be looking for these engages. You have Unstoppable Force, you have the Showstopper. It's a lot of zoning tools and ultimates that are going to be team fight defining. PSE, they wanted to have these team fights going in game 1 for themselves, and in game 2, they've drafted a very similar comp, but instead of, being a heavy, you could call it dive comp, it's just more or less just we're gonna press R, we're gonna wombo you to death. And SK are gonna have to be really careful, right? You have a Wukong that can provide a lot of disruption with that double cyclone, but that Yone is also gonna be really crucial to that. Getting that fade and sealed, hitting 2 to 3 members with it is, if you're not, you're going to lose a team fight on the side of SK. So Nukes is gonna have a lot riding on his shoulders, as well as Reeve this game. The two of them are gonna have to make sure that they are playing almost perfectly in order to survive what PSE is going to be throwing at them.
Absolutely here, and a lot of strong team fighting power coming through from SK as well. If they're able to get through this Tristana, they certainly are going to have a whale of a time fighting their way through these team fights, keeping everybody CC. They got the Wukong Cyclone. They have got the Yone Last Breath coming on through, or Last Breath is Yasuo Ultimate. It's Fate Sealed for Yone Ultimate. As yeah, it's just gonna be a field day for this Kog'Maw as he just gets to rain down damage as everybody gets locked on down by the trio of Wukong, Yone, and Nautilus. PSE don't really have great answers to that. It feels like they can certainly single out a Kog'Maw and burst him out through all of the engage tools they have and through Unstoppable Force especially. But feels like it's going to be tough for PSE to really keep this Tristana as safe as she needs to be for them to be able to succeed in these fights.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see as we get into it. I am really interested to see what the itemizations are going to be across the board for both teams. They have a few options they can take here, but we haven't seen Kog'Maw in a while here, Gordo, and the build is been speculated a lot. So we'll have to see if he wants to just go for that straight on hit Rage Blade with Wit's End and Shield Bow, or if he wants to go for that tank maw build, get that Rondo and Zoman, try to give himself a little bit more safety and a little bit more health.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, some interesting options available to Reeves Cogmal. We will see which one he decides to go with. We're gonna throw it to a quick break now, while we get loaded on up into the game, but do not go anywhere. We're gonna be right back with more of the ADL semifinals.
I'm walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. Feel like a dynamite, ready to explode right up in the sky. I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight. town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's stream of the Aegis Defenders League semifinals. SK, fresh off their Game 1 win, have taken the blue side and are still facing off against Stalker Esports here on the red. This time, going for that first pick, Kog'Maw. We'll see if the tanky composition of Stalker Esports are going to be able to effectively answer that one, or if it is just going to carry away this whole game the way that we all know Kog'Maw certainly can.
Yeah, and as all of these champions make their way onto the rift, we do have to comment that Aegis is going to be on the set in the mid lane. Last game did not have the best game on the Syndra, was a little bit rough on it, and got punished a few times too many. So set going to be a bit safer of an option, going to be able to get a lot more health and a lot beefier, especially when you're playing into nukes on this Yone, who did opt for the TP. So this Yone will be able to get across the map quite efficiently, and it'll be a little bit of a we can call it a concession that you're not really going to have kill pressure in mid lane ever.
Yeah, for certain here. Shouldn't be too much kill pressure in the top lane either. You gotta expect the Immoral One on this Malphite. Should be able to just play this one out pretty safely. Should just hang out, farm with his Q, try to play safe. Maple Shade has indeed gone for that Doran's Shield as generally expected to up against the Malphite. The early on Scorch Arcane Comet setup does kind of obligate you to go for those defensive itemization and not get forced out of lane by the unexpected Malphite damage. So good itemization there from the side of Maple Shade as we're going to get right into those lanes.
Yeah, both teams are making the moves that they want to be. Glaceon did opt to take the exhaust this game instead of the ignite, so you can only imagine that it's going to be landing onto Maple Shade or Nukes, but a level 1 trade's coming in.
Yeah, Pierce Blade right away going on in there with that Dredge line, getting a nice trade onto Dobbs, but Dobbs returning that damage twofold right back into the face of Reeve. Maple Shade taking a bunch of damage in that top lane as well. You can see these side lanes going aggressively early on. Aegis gonna tank a turret shot, but gonna get a nice little haymaker across onto Nukes for his troubles.
Yeah, and you can actually see up in the top lane there that Immoral One started Oh, another hook coming in.
Yeah, Reeve and Pierce Blade really want to take this fight. That's going to be the exhaust blown by Glaceon to the ignite blown by Pierce Blade. A little trade of summoner spells there from the supports. Dobbs has also used the heal already from that earlier fight. Reeve going to still have access to that resource. Very nicely played there by the bot lane of SK, looking to have a nice start here with the 80 carry they put so much priority on for this draft.
Yeah, the Kog'Maw doing a great job there. Nuke's taking a bit of a trade there in the mid lane. How I think it's going to go in the favor of him. Yeah, Avius not able to get a lot done there, as it will be a knockup keeping him away from it. But Kumazu's bot lane again, early game pressure on the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, the slows come on across there. Nice glitter lance from the side of Glaceon. They're going to be able to pick up that kill onto Reeve, to not have access to the flash. Now Pierce Blade going to have to head for the hills as well, making sure he's not the next one to go down. More Sleep, meanwhile, had ganked mid lane. Avius going to be forced to flash away. He's also going to manage to stay alive. Look at all the flashes that get used there. Looks like More Sleep and Nukes both expended their flashes to try to get that play to happen in the middle lane, but it just does not end up working out for them. Nicely played by Avius to stay alive.
Yeah, we're 3.5 minutes into this game too, Gordo, and 7 summoner spells have been used out of the 20 available. That is a lot of summoner spells that we've seen being used across the Rift now. And Nuke's just going in for a bit of a trade. They're going to not get stunned up there. Avius healing up an insane amount, almost to full. Oh, it is full. He TP'd back. I'm dumb. Excuse me. But Glaceon going to get caught here. Forced to burn
Yeah.
the flash.
That is indeed going to be another resource down from the side of Glaceon. Nicely played by Pierce Blade to keep the fight going on this Nautilus. Had a great Nautilus performance last week as well, remembering a crazy dredge line that he managed to thread the needle between a whole bunch of minions in order to get a nice play happening in the mid lane last week. See if he's able to repeat that kind of performance this time around. So far, has been super aggressive in this bottom lane, but has only really faced punishment for it as Reed ended up having to give up that kill.
Yeah, Immoral One running really low on mana up here in the top lane, but does have the Doran Shield to keep himself pretty healthy. And you can kind of see that Maple Shade doesn't have that much mana either, so going to get forced off of the wave, going to have the wave crash into his tower, and Immoral One will be able to get a nice reset off.
Yeah, Avius going to be getting nukes chunked out low there, and he's going to be able to finish off that kill along with Kumazu's help. Stalker Esports once again get off to a nice start in the early game. They are 2-0 now off the back of Kumazu's Xin Zhao. See if he's able to keep that pressure coming this time as Dobbs going aggressively in the bottom lane, but is one level down up against Reeve and has a whole bunch of minions hitting him. He does have the backup of Glaceon, though. They are going to chunk the Reeve to just about half HP and now should have complete control over this wave. We'll see if they try to freeze it here, if they just let it crash.
Yeah, the Guardian and Shield coming out from Glaceon on this Lulu is absolutely huge for the bot lane for them. It really essentially means that SK won't ever have kill pressure again on this bot lane, right? And I'm really surprised that SK didn't opt to go for the Lulu, right? PSC were able to pick it up on on Red 3 for themselves, where SK had the option to do it, but instead they opted to take the Nautilus. You didn't see kind of that tried and true bread and butter Kog'Maw Lulu lane coming out, but it might just be a pool option as well. So I don't believe I've seen Pierce play too much Lulu.
Yeah, definitely, but completely agree with you there. Feels like it would have been the pair up with that Kog'Maw. Now, Avius getting ganked to the middle lane has survived this once before already. A nice dodge there on the wind is likely going to make the difference, and he is going to be able to stay alive. Nicely played there once again from the PSC mid laner, just soaking up a whole bunch of pressure. He's down a fair bit in CS, but he's constantly attracting more Sleep's attention, and that means PSC are able to get stuff down elsewhere. That's why Kumazu's so far ahead now.
Yep, and as we look at it, this game is a lot different here for Avius, being able to play a lot more aggressive on the set because you have that health regeneration available, because you innately have a lot more safety in your kit. So these aggressive plays that SK are trying to make are just wildly going to get go essentially end up in failure for them, because I mean it's hard to gank the set. And he's going to be getting 16. We'll have access to the showstopper, so it'll be even more difficult to try to get into this mid lane because he has so many different escape options available. Flash will be coming up for him shortly as well. One thing too I want to mention about Gordo is that for SK, their composition is going to struggle really hardly if PSC decides to optimize their itemization in such a way that it negates them, right? You have the Wukong who gets attack speed from his Nimbus Strike. You have the Yone and Kog'Maw who are going to be building a lot of attack speed as well. If you see on the side of PSC any form of Frozen Heart or even a Rondo's Omen, it's going to be really difficult for them to try to kill the front line. This this Malphite, they're going to be really beefy boys.
Yeah, you can see the top side of Stalker Esports. They got 6 cloth armors between the 3 of them now. Everybody just rushing straight for those bramble vests, you got to believe, as that's just going to represent such huge value now up against this SK composition. That's just a cost of what they've gone for here. We'll see if they're able to fight their way through it, but certainly, at least on paper, seems like a glaring weakness in the composition.
Yeah, and we can kind of see now that both teams are really looking to take this game to a new pace. The Dragon is going to be picked up here, and you know what? I'm very happy saying I'm confident in able to eat my own words. Kumazu, early game in game 1 and the second game, has been doing an insane job with the map pressure, looking for these proactive ganks. Over extensions from SK have been getting punished every single time almost, and these kills are resulting in a decent little lead for them. However, it's been getting narrowed. We're seeing about 500 gold right now, so nothing to really write home about. Cyclone used here up in the top lane.
Yeah, Maple Shade going for the all-in here. Has the second one to come on through. There goes the crushing blow, but it is going to be forcing the flash out of Immoral One. Not going to be claiming anything else for that one there, but nice trade by Maple Shade. Always worth it to blow the ultimate for the flash, and Immoral One might even be forced to teleport back here or risk losing out on a plate. You can see More Sleep is here as well. They could even potentially look to punish on the teleport. More Sleep already called on over. Immoral One is going aggressively here on a Maple Shade, but actually has a bunch of damage in the tank. Now here comes the Trundle going to be leading off with that Subjugate. Here comes Pierce Blade as well, all the way from the bottom lane, but Immortal One turns around the fight, dives on in, makes it a 1-for-1. Maple Shade needed a flash away from that one, but just doesn't get it off.
Yeah, that was just almost a little too close there to speak, right? Maple Shade getting knocked out by the Unstoppable Force, final auto attack from Immoral One, able to pick up a solo kill. So a 1-for-1 in exchange of that means that PSE are still able to keep that momentum going for themselves. We do see Kumazu hovering around Aegis here in case SK want to try anything, but More Sleep is just really intent and comfortable trying to take this Rift Herald like we saw in game 1. Able to pick up both Heralds, I believe, and use them to relatively good effectiveness. Now they're looking to repeat that in game 2 here.
And Nukes has really built himself up a pretty respectable CS lead, as has Maple Shade. You can see, despite the kill discrepancy, that Gold is neck and neck, and it's really because of these two solo laners and the leads they've been able to amass for themselves in the 1-versus-1. Not, the biggest denial matchups for the side of PSE, but still, SK definitely have to be feeling pretty good about the amount of gold they've been able to accumulate for themselves. Maple Shade now still taking the wrong side of a couple of these trades until he finishes up that Divine Sunder. It's really going to be rough for him up against the Bramble Vest of Immoral One.
Yep, and we can kind of see there right now, Gordo, that these itemizations are coming in. Plated steel caps are just going to be the correct option here. It's going to be really hard for PSE to break through them, and I would expect to see, a lot more of them getting picked up. Maple Shade just getting forced off of this wave right now. Immoral One on this Malphite just doing so much work now.
Yeah, really having a great performance now in the lane, just turning it all around where he needs to. Is Nukes still taking quite a bit of abuse in the middle lane as well, but has not let it affect his gold generation at all. Keep an eye on a More Sleep here, has pretty much been quietly farming most of the game, despite that play other than that play he made in the top lane to get the kill. We'll see if he does want to make a play happen here in the middle lane. Has a nice angle onto Aegis, but is deciding to forego it. So he might have an opportunity here in this bottom lane. Dobbs pushing aggressively, picking himself up a turret plate, but is wisely going to dash that out of there before anything can get started by the side of SK.
Yep, and we can now see that the Herald will be summoned up here in the mid lane, so SK looking to clap back, get that gold swung into their advantage, and again, Gordo, it's been so even across this entire match that it's really, really difficult for the side of PSC to kind of continue it, but that was...
Aegis making a play here, nicely going to immune the dredge line as well. Is looking to finish off on a Nukes. Nukes is going to flash away, though, along with the dash, get us enough distance away. And now the turnaround coming through onto Kumazu. He's going to get shut on down. That gold going over to Maple Shade. Now they're moving on to Glaceon. He's going to be forced to flash away, but he's just CC locked for too long. Can't even use it. Ends up going down as well. It's a 2-for-0 in the mid lane for SK, and just like that, they have the gold lead.
Yeah, and it was just the Herald play into the extension. PSE wanted to try to collapse, prevent the Herald from getting any more than it could, delay the momentum and prevent the swing of power going back into the favor of SK, but it got punished. Avius was able to survive for so long throughout that, and Pierce Blade put down the depth charge onto him as he was mid showstopper, so it didn't even really do anything. And after all of that, it made it really difficult for PSE to try to collapse, because you saw Immoral One walking down, but the fight was over before he even was able to get there. So when you have a key tool like the Malphite ultimate that's not able to be in that fight, it's not going to really go your way at any juncture. And on top of that, PSE didn't even have vision control of the bot side river, which is where SK came from. They had a single ward that was placed there originally. They have another one now, but you can kind of see that the river belonged to SK. They knew where they were coming from, and they knew that PSE weren't going to see it.
Absolutely did here. They collapse wisely. They get a good play off there. They get the gold lead in their favor. Now they're looking to claim the second dragon as well, stifling the lead that PSC had put up for themselves early on. Pierce Blade not going to land the dredge line that time around. Now Kumazu might potentially have an engage angle. Has Dobbs and Glaceon at his back. The dragon has already fallen, though. SK are going to head for the hills here. Avius might have a little bit of an angle here on Pierce Blade. Not going to land the face breaker, though. Dredge line into the wall, going to get him enough distance to get on out of there. And SK, they get themselves the objective. They get out of dodge, and they are better for it.
Yeah, and again, just like in game one, we saw that SK were on the back foot just a little bit as it went on, but as the game progressed and it continued, they were able to scale up, get to those item spikes, and the gold lead just kind of exploded open for them. But both teams still playing these mid games to the strengths that they want to. However, Reeve on this Kog'Maw will be able to do so much more than Dobbs will be able to if they both get to this late game scaling where they hit 4 items.
Absolutely will. That wit's end already completed there for Reeve. Dobbs still trying to get his way over to that second item as Aegis gets himself that Fate Sealed ultimate used on him. Nuke's getting a bunch of damage across, not going to be able to finish off the kill, but should be able to force his lane opponent out, at least for a little bit. But Aegis, he's digging that pit grit. He's just sustaining back up. He does not really seem to care. The dive threat potentially in Reeve and Pierce Blade, but Kumazu has backed on away, has decided it's not going to be an opportunity he can use as Nukes. He's going aggressively in the mid lane, might find himself punished there unless he can finish off this kill onto Avius. Avius going to survive with the Haymaker, and now here comes Kumazu for the play, stopping the dash with the knockup coming on through. Avius almost goes down, but is able to stay alive there, finishes off the kill onto Nukes. That's another kill over to the side of PSE.
And PSE still not out of it, able to claw their way back. Nuke's getting punished now 1 and 2 on this Yone. Has yet to really hit that item spike that he wants to be getting to. The Mythic is, going to be doing a lot for him once he's able to finish that Immortal Shield bow. But it does look like we do have a Zeal that he went for first item, so it's going to be delayed significantly throughout the course of this game. So we won't see that until probably the next Dragon. But we have a TP coming in the bot lane here.
Yeah,
Double TP.
Trying to make a play happen here with his unstoppable force, going to just throw out the seismic shard, getting onto Reeve, follows it up with the ultimate. So much damage coming on through here, but Pierce Blade uses the depth charge on Avius, just trying to keep Immoral One the only one fighting them. That means Reeve not going to take enough damage to end up going down. He's going to be able to back on away. And SK withstands the gank there from the side of PSE, but might not be done on the map as of yet. Dobbs is trying to get the siege going into the middle lane, but has to be careful about getting engaged on. Now it is Nuke's diving on forward, looking to get the ultimate. More sleep flashes, not going to be able to get any CC though. There's just none to be had. No flight coming through from Mapleshade as of yet, and that means Dobbs going to be able to claim that summoner spell for free and just keep on pushing.
Yeah, a little bit of an overstep there for PSE. They had Avius TPing to the bot lane tier 1 instead of to the ward with Immoral One. And because of that, he wasn't able to get into range for the showstopper, so they couldn't do that 1-2 that they wanted. But more action in the mid. Hello.
Oh, the engage on the Dobbs is so good here. The lockdown from Nukes along with his team is just enough to be able to finish off that kill on the Dobbs. They're going to be able to put that gold onto the Yone. It's a 1-for-0 for SK there. It looked like that entire gank play in the middle lane had been stifled, but Dobbs just steps up a little bit too far, gets all the ultimates used on him, and now more sleep. Looking for a play onto Avius in this bottom lane. Does have Reeve for the backup with the damage. Here comes Pierce Blade as well. Looking for the lockdown. Does not have access to the death charge. Does he even need it? He's got staggering blows, and that's all he needs. Is more sleep going to claim that kill onto Avius in the bottom lane?
They just don't want to stop, do they, Gordo? It's like the first 15 minutes of the game, both teams are like, we're just going to chill. We're going to get a couple of ganks off, get a couple of kills. But we hit that 15-minute mark, and it's like the pedal to the metal. Both teams are going, we got see red, we see blood in our eyes. We're going to try to kill each other. It's not going to matter if I'm going to die, you're going to die first. And they're really testing that metal. Now, Nukes in the mid lane picked up that other kill, does not have... hasn't spent his gold, I should say, has been kind of sitting here for a little bit by himself, so looking to try to get a reset off, looking to spend that gold, and once Yone starts hitting these item spikes, that's critically where he really comes online and is able to start doing a lot, and SK are really kind of playing to that strength quite well. Again, both teams are going to be at a 1-to-1 dragon advantage. It's going to be another Mountain Soul coming up, and PSE, they really, really want that Mountain Soul.
And Moral One going aggressively in this top lane, going to get Mapleshade locked on down there, forcing him to take an extra turret shot. I'm trying to maybe chase him a little bit farther back. He does have the Vamp Scepter, does have that Divine Sunder, but he's going to be forced to flash nonetheless. Just feels really threatened by Immoral One's damage, and he's going to be forced away. This Malphite really making his presence known in that top lane, has the CS even with the Wukong despite the early disadvantage, and now once again going to force him to use Summoner, is going to force him out of lane, and Dobbs going to get engaged onto the middle lane, almost gets executed down, not quite enough as Glaceon was able to throw on the shield. It absorbed almost all of that damage from Nuke's snapping back. You can see the threat that this Yone poses to Tristana when she's left all alone.
Yeah, and Yone's finished a single item now. He has the shield bow, he has the zeal, has a high enough crit chance, so it'll be critting on almost every single attack that he goes through. And because of that play, now PSC are gonna have to walk towards the second Rift Herald and try to take that for themselves as a consolation prize as they lose this third dragon, something that they really didn't want to. It's gonna significantly delay them trying to stack dragon, and the soul is gonna be almost impossible for them to see in this site now. And unrelenting. SK are still just looking to be proactive on the map, pushing down this mid lane while Moresleep independently takes that dragon because they know he can. All 5 members are up here. This Trundle can just go bot lane and take this turret if he wants to, because he does have the Divine Thunder done, and with that chomp, he does an insane amount of damage to structures.
Definitely does here, and I want to shout out Pierceblade here, having an excellent game here, 100% kill participation, did pretty well in game number 1 as well. This is only his third or fourth series with the squad, but he's integrated himself very nicely, performed very well on this Nautilus in particular, and he will kill again. He's been roaming all over this map and keeping plays going for the side of SK despite their early disadvantages. Now Aegis getting engaged on the bottom lane once again is going to withstand through it with the Haymaker. Maple Shade has to be a little bit careful in the top lane, but he's going to be able to escape. His unstoppable force isn't used. Pierceblade looking for the hook, not going to be able to land it. Fate Sealed also not going to be able to land. Not quite going to be able to lock down onto Aegis this time around. Going to force his flash, though, and going to claim the bot lane turret for the side of SK.
Yeah, and something that's honestly, now that I'm thinking about it a bit more, Goda, that's really great for what SK has been doing. They took away a really aggressive option that PSE might have wanted to pair with the Tristana in the Nautilus, and went, okay, great, you're going to probably pick the Lulu because we didn't, or some form of enchanter. They picked the Lulu, and now PSE just doesn't have kill pressure on this Kog'Maw in the bot lane, which unlocks Pierceblade to look for these really aggressive roams across the map, and that's exactly what he's been doing. This Nautilus has been absolutely everywhere, death charging every single lane.
And Kumazu going aggressively here on a Moresleep, and that might not be the target he's looking for. Maple Shade spinning on through with the Kog'Maw, going to be locking down onto Kumazu, tries to flash over the wall, is going to get followed by Moresleep, is going to get taken on down. Reeve going to claim his first kill of the game here, going to get that gold on to the Void Puppy, the place that you want it. And SK, once again, go 1 for 0 off of a play that PSE starts. They just go over aggressively, and they get punished. And now it's going to be Baron started up for SK.
Yeah, they killed the jungler. 15 seconds going to be on them. You've got vision control right now. And yes, there's a bunch of control wards in their jungler. So if PSE want to go for a double TP play, they can potentially look for it. But at the same time, what are they going to be able to do? Immoral One's going to look for it. Going to be able to get a big ult here probably, but or he might just die before he can.
Yeah, what is a big ult, though, with no damage to follow it up? Immoral One just getting engaged on here, goes through, gets the ultimate onto 2, but Moresleep has already finished off the Baron. Now he's going to end up going on down. Immoral One really not getting value that time around as SK claimed themselves another kill. They claimed themselves the Baron, and now they have a 3.5k gold lead, Trajan.
Yeah, it's always at the 20-minute mark, right? SK played the early game so patiently. They got set behind just by a little bit, but they played so clean. They kept the gold lead within 500. They never let it get above 1,000 gold here now. And now they were able to get a pick. They were able to pick up the Baron. They're gaining this top tier 1. Nukes on this Yone, online. Trundle 2-0 and 3. Going to be finishing up that second item for herself. And Reeve, 2 items on this Kog'Maw already. Has an insane amount of range. The team composition from PSE cannot get to the items they need in time.
And the Hurricane also going to be huge for Reeve here, going to enable him to hit multiple frontliners at the same time. And he's pretty much always going to have the opportunity to do this. PSE have 3 melees that are always going to be right up in his face. That means he's going to be getting the full value out of the Hurricane.
100% here, and we haven't even seen like a true team fight this game yet, Gordo. It's always been skirmishes, it's always been picks, and both teams are trying to vie for that position. PSE, they want to have this team fight. They want to be able to get into this position where they can have this wombo combo of ultimates coming into SK's backline, but they aren't able to get it. They're going for these 2v2 skirmishes, they're going for these 2v3 skirmishes, and they're losing them now, or they're not getting anything off of them, and they're wasting so many resources because of it that they're just kind of crumbling under the pressure that SK's mounted here in game 2 of our series.
Absolutely does feel that way, as SK now with the Baron at their backs are going to be able to start off this siege. They're going to be able to crash through all these turrets. This is how it went last game as well. It all just gets busted open at the Baron fight. It's now Maple Shade once again finding himself in a 1 versus 1 against Immoral One. This is just going worse and worse for the Wukong. He's trying to turn it around here, though, actually, with the Crushing Blow, getting a bunch of damage. Tries to flash away, not going to end up dodging anything, though. Tries to turn it back, but is going to get taken on down by the slam from Immoral One. A solo kill goes over to the PSE top laner, grants them a little bit of relief in this game.
So low, bowl low, my friend. But that was really well played there. I mean, Immoral One does great into Wukong. Did have the Sunfire Aegis completed as well, and that's what contributed into getting that kill. But it looks like Moresleep might just be able to get the kill.
Yeah, very well might here, as Immoral One, he's giving him the runaround here, trying to go back and forth in this alcove, but really has nowhere to go. He flashes, he's trying to stay alive, and is heading for the hills. It looks like he's actually going to be able to do it. He gives more sleep the slip with the use of his flash, and is going to be able to channel the recall.
You know, I'm gonna be honest. He doesn't have TP. He has to reset Dragons up now. I actually think it's just worth to die there. You've already burnt Trundle ultimate. You're not gonna. We know he doesn't have flash. I think just dying there is actually fine. It gives you the ability to preserve your flash for this next big team fight that's going to be coming up, especially because this dragon really doesn't mean a lot. It's going to put SK onto Soul Point, but you don't care. It's at a point of the game now where you need to be looking to be trying to get these picks or looking for these big team fights. But Unstoppable Force is up and Immoral One is here.
Yeah, he goes on through. He manages to get the lockdown onto Reeve. They're trying to focus everything onto Cogwell. He's already flashed on out, though. He's just trying to kite back, trying to stay alive. He is so far able to do so. So much damage coming on through. Immoral One going to end up falling. Aegis not going to have the damage either. He's going to fall down as well. Nuke's going to pick up that kill. It's 2 for 0 so far in favor of SK. They've managed to turn around the fight. The hook comes through. A double kill gets claimed for Nukes. Dobbs going to hit that gray screen. 3 for 0. SK, they get themselves on Soul Point, and they win another fight.
Yeah, and honestly, huge credit to Maple Shade in that we didn't get to see it throughout the entire course, but he zoned off the remaining members of PSE while Immoral One and Avius tried desperately to get on top of Reeve to land that finishing blow because he was sitting at such a low amount of health. But unfortunately, they just weren't able to get it. And this Kog'Maw survives with the sliver of health. They get almost essentially wiped, lose the dragon, lose another turret, and this game is tumbling away from the side of PSE. SK firmly in the lead, sitting at just under a 6,000 gold lead for themselves in game 2. And with the Baron spawning in a minute and a half, they're going to be able to reset, spend their gold, and come back. And they're going to be looking at 2 to 3 item spikes at this point. This Kog'Maw is absolutely massive.
Yeah, that is what they call a biggin, Trajan, as so much of a lead over to the side of SK. They are running away with this game, as you said. They are 3 dragons to 1. They have almost a 6k gold lead, as you said. And it just feels like PSE are running out of options rapidly. The reason that we favored their composition so much is that they would be able to itemize for these armor items, for these attack speed reducing items like the one that Immoral One is working on right now. But they're so far behind in gold now that those aren't going to be as effective as you had hoped. They're going to have to take team fights up against SK without those items in their pocket. And even by the time they do get them, SK have won so many fights already that they're just going to be able to burst right through them.
Yeah, Sed is trying to build Sterix Gauge second item here, and I can not express how much I hate that, especially when you're going into a comp like SK. Phage itself is a great item, but you're just wasting gold, and that's just going to be a pick, potentially. No, he lives!
Pierce Blade gets blasted to freedom there off the Buster shot from Dobbs, and now the turnaround fight coming through for SK. Yeah, you've bursted out our support, but that's not where the damage lives, PSE. Is now more sleep chasing forward, looking to finish off on the Kabazu, is going to be able to do so. Nukes is now in a 1 versus 1 up against Aegis. We know how this one goes at 26 minutes into the game. Nuke's going to be able to finish that one off. More sleep keeping the chase going onto Immoral One. Reeve can just fire off these shots, is at no risk, is going on to Dobbs now, gets himself the double kill. 4 kills over to the side of PSE, and Glaceon is nowhere to be found, just wondering where his team went as he has to head back to the fountain.
Glaceon was trying to get out to support Avius, but by the time that he was able to get there, it just didn't matter. Lulu was cut off from the rest of the team. The rest of PSE were forced to go up into the blue side jungle of SK, but Lulu got forced into mid lane and was going to get cut off by this Yone. Nukes had already killed Avius on the set by that time, and now the second Baron is going to get claimed for them. You see Wukong stacking a wave up in the top lane, could take the turret, but is not going to opt to do it. It's actually low enough, it might just fall. But now, with that team fight going into the favor of SK, we are looking at almost 10,000 gold league Gordo, the biggest one we've seen so far this series.
Yeah, SK just completely in the driver's seat here for once again just showing the team fighting capabilities that they have as a roster here. PSE are continuously being the ones who are starting off these fights, but SK are able to kite them out appropriately, are able to keep Reeve alive. Crucially, his only death from that early gank ever since then has just stayed alive, stayed farming, stayed participating, and they're being rewarded for it here. They're coming out with these fight wins, and they're coming out with these huge damage numbers.
Yeah, and if you're on the side of PSE, you have to be scratching your head going, what the hell did we do from here? Game 1, we had a pick comp, but, we were doing it into a Cassiopeia and a Ziggs. But Game 2, we had a really strong team fight comp, but we're just kind of getting completely obliterated by this Yone and this Kog'Maw now. So what are they going to do here as we look at it? And, I assume we're probably going to be looking into Game 3 here within a few minutes, Gordo.
Very well might be here, Trajan. It's just getting harder and harder for PSE to be able to find situations that they would want to fight in, and really, their saving grace this game so far has been Immortal One. He had the best performance in lane, was able to get that solo kill earlier on, has gotten some good ultimates across, but without the follow-up damage, there's very little that he can really get done here. Dobbs is too far behind to really be the carry force that they need in these fights. Has some nice CS in his pocket, has 2 items, but there's just such a tanky front line for the side of SK, and they are constantly able to find their way onto him that it's just not enough to represent a whole team's worth of damage. So now Immoral One eventually getting dove here, trying to head for the hills. That is going to be the hook coming through, followed up with by the pillar. There's the death charge going on through on the Glaceon. They're going to try to finish this one on off. Nukes dives forward with that. The Fate Seal tries to finish him on off, is going to be able to do so. Avi is going to be the next one. Double kill goes over to Reeve. They're going to try to finish it off onto Dobbs as well. Not going to be able to do so as of right now, but now Immortal One going to re-engage, going to go down for it though. Doesn't even get the knock up onto anybody. There's Bio Arcane Barrage to finish off a kill on to the side of Dobbs. Triple kill goes over to Reeve here, and they are going to close on out game number 2. SK on match point.
You know, Gordo, we've seen SK time and time and again. We've seen them in worse positions than this that have come back. And, you know, I just have to say, huge credit to them. I personally just thought that their composition with a couple of items from the side of PSE was going to have such a hard time, but they were playing so well through that early game, absorbing all the pressure that PSE throws at them. And we could even see that the Xin Zhao was 2-0 by, I think, 6 or 7 minutes, had an insane amount of pressure throughout it, but because of their ability to lane so effectively and make sure that they're not overextending, they're not taking unnecessary trades early on, they scale so well into the mid and late game that PSE just don't have the ability to respond to them that they think they do.
Yeah, and same story as last game, right? Kumazu gets the early lead. The side of PSE are up 2-0, 3-0 in the early game, but they end up over-aggressing. They get bitten on a unfortunate fight, and that's SK's pathway back in. SK are willing to, you know, punish you when you over-aggress, but they're also willing to play passively when you aren't doing that, and that just means there's very few windows for PSE to really be able to create and balloon those leads, and instead SK wait for their moment, they bide their time, they get the fights that they want, and they're up 2-0, about to get themselves a spot in the finals as a result of it.
You can tell that they're absolutely thirsty for it. They have been playing so well. Some of these team fights and skirmishes have, you know, they a couple of them have been incredibly PSE favored that looked like they were going to win, but every time they managed to just squeak it out and come out in the advantage, in the plus, in the green, Gordo. And with match point looming for them, you have to look at PSE and go, what are you guys going to do? You've had such a strong season coming into this. How are you going to adapt, and how are you going to be able to punish what the side of SK have been throwing at you?
Backs against the wall for the side of Pride Stalker Esports here. We're going to take a quick break while we get into draft for game number 3. But for right now, you're going to have to send your energy to PSE if you're hoping for this series to go any longer, as they are running out of opportunities. We will be right back.
Temptation, searching for salvation. Can we find our way back, way back? Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? No more running, no more running, no more chasing. No more running now, I'm running out of patience. Caught up in confusion, need a resolution. Can we find our way back, way back? and we find our way back, way back. Caught up in confusion, need
a very huge fan of pairing non-enchanters with Kog'Maw, but I'll be honest, for the way that Reeve played this game, it looked really good for them, and they're just gonna lock in the Camille here, blind on the blue side for themselves. They know that Maple Shade has the ability to, just kind of pop off on this champion. We saw it happen in game one. It didn't get to happen in game two because it did get banned away. But what that does signal to me is that they know that Nukes is not going to be able to get his Yone here in the second round of picks, so he will probably be on something different.
Very likely here, and it also means that they don't want to blind pick the Trundle. It's been responding to the Xin Zhao both games thus far, but now PSE, they're going to take the Jarvan instead. Now could potentially ban away things like the Xin Zhao, like that Trundle, and try to guarantee a successful early game for Komazu. The early game has not really been the struggle for PSE. They've been able to get rolling early on. Now they're going to take this Jarvan here and try to keep that train rolling. Hopefully this time being able to snowball it into a little bit more of a mid-game advantage. As the Yone going to be the first one to hit that ban table.
Yeah, and I really like this adaptation for them now, right? They have a huge amount of scaling in the form of Ziggs. J4 does not fall off as badly as Xin Zhao does now, and offers a lot more utility. You have the ability to lock people down with the Cataclysm. You have your Flag and Drag to knock them up. So you have the additional survivability and utility to dive into the backline with Glaceon on this Leona now. So it's going to be a lot harder to kind of protect this Kog'Maw. You have the peeling potential for it, and the interruption is going to be absolutely huge, giving Dobbs the ability to kind of just throw these bombs out, get these Mega Inferno chains going, and deal as much DPS as he possibly can do. We do see the Trundle getting banned away from PSE, so it will not be more sleep on it again this game, as that is good, would be a very, very good pick for them into the composition that PSE has drafted so far for SK. So we'll have to see what they want to pick up here. I don't expect it to be a Xin Zhao. I honestly think that we might see an AP jungler out of them this game.
Very possibly the Kled being hovered here as the new tech that they wanted to bring out up against this Camille. It is going to be locked in. We'll see how that ends up going. More engage power for the side of PSE. Not going to be something that they are too disappointed in here, as they want to keep these fights going. As now we will see what SK are going to take in response. They got to blind pick their mid laner, as they have every game, and they are going to have to take a jungler as well. They're going to be facing off against that Jarvan, and you may have called the penetration. That's the Echo being hovered. Could be mid lane as well, but could also be showing up in the jungle face off against this Jarvan. You'd think it would be a good matchup, at least for the 1v1. Can kind of dive and duck in and out of all these Jarvan abilities. Want to dodge the Flag and Drag, want to dodge the Cataclysm wherever you can, and Echo certainly does have the tools to be able to do that. It's now Tristana being hovered. Could be a little Tristana mid lane action. Could be a little Kog'Maw mid lane action. Have to wait and see what SK want to take here.
Yeah, I'm okay. So they do lock it in. I have to think on this one, Gordo. Unsure. My head is thinking, but I can't doubt SK. Like, right? They've come out of the gate swinging in these first two games, really shown what they're capable of, and we see Nukes on these champions, huge playmaking potential on champions that have a lot of mobility. So Tristana will be just a ranged version of Yone for him at this point, but a LeBlanc will be quite a dangerous pick here for the side of PSE. Avius not necessarily having the best performances in the first two games, so now that we're on a mid lane assassin, I'm really hoping and expecting to see a lot of action coming down into this mid lane now. A lot of fighting between the two of them.
Yeah, also something I'm going to be looking for here. We'll see if it is going to be the Tristana mid facing off against LeBlanc. You got to believe that's the better matchup. You wouldn't want to take the Kog'Maw mid up against LeBlanc. Surely that's not a matchup that you have any chance of winning on the side of Nukes. But we'll have to wait and see here. PSE now, this is where the mental aspect of the game really going to start coming on in here. You know that you're down 0-2. You know that this might be your last game here in the ADL split. You certainly do not want to go out the way that you've gone out the last two games. Want to change things up, want to change your fortunes here. They've got some new picks on the roster. We'll see if this is what it's going to take for them to be able to win a game.
Yeah, and you know what? I like this draft alteration again from them. Game one, it was a dive comp. They went, you know what? That didn't work. We're going to play a wombo comp. You know what? That didn't work. All right, we're just going to play a run at you comp. How do you deal with this? So now your threats that are going to be running at you, I mean, you have a Kled J4 Leona. That's absolutely terrifying, Gordo. And in the meanwhile, you've got a LeBlanc who's going to be sitting on the flank looking to delete what your team has offering. And you're a relatively squishy team. Yes, you have a Nautilus, and yes, you have a Camille who will eventually have health. But if you're able to get Maple Shade shut behind just a little bit, it's going to to be really hard for that Camille to scale into anything. And LeBlanc and Ziggs can kind of just run away with it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, on the side of SK, you've got some nice comfort for yourself here. Like, yeah, your Trundle's gotten taken away. You were playing that earlier, but you've got the Kog'Maw that you have such ridiculous prio on because you think it's the best champion of the game, other than the 3 that have been banned away by PSC. You've got your Nautilus, which I have been continuously very, very impressed by from their support right now from Pierce Blade. He's had some fantastic Nautilus performances both last game and last week. And you got the Camille again from Maple Shade, where he was able to be so dominant in game number 1, had a little bit of struggles in the early game, but was able to come out scale and really carry those team fights later on. SK have the tools that they're looking for. They've got a composition that looks like it is equipped to be able to finish off sweeping this series. They just have to make sure that they keep clear heads, that they don't let themselves get carried away by their performance in the first 2 games, and that they can close it out the way they've closed out 2 games already.
100% Gordo. I'm really excited to see what both of them will bring onto the Rift for us as we head into our 3rd game of the series. Potential match point. This might be a 3-0, but it looks like PSE really don't want to go out on that note, looking to strongly strike back here. And, you know, we don't see Kled too often, so I'm really excited to see now what Dobbs can, or not Dobbs, excuse me, it's not Jimster either if we don't have the correct graphic on the screen. I'm just forgetting everyone's names.
I wish I could tell you I'm wrong, but we'll call it out when we get into the game. But we're going to throw it to a quick break here. We're going to get loaded into game number 3. We're going to have the champion names on the screen for you, and we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the Aegis Defenders League semifinals, as SK are on the verge of earning themselves a spot in those finals. They've won the past two games very convincingly. Now we're going to be busting out the Echo Jungle and the Tristana mid here for game number 3. PSE also showing off some new picks here in this game with their backs up against the wall. We'll see if it is what it takes for them to be able to get back into this series.
Yeah, we see the LeBlanc coming out for Avius. We see Kumazu finally off Xin Zhao duty on the J4, ready to play something that's just going to be able to still have the early game pressure, but scale quite well and offer a bit more to the team. And meanwhile, on the top lane, tomorrow one soft tank duty. He's going to be onto this Kled. Maple Shade started hookshot. All right. Not going to be able to get too much off of that. Did proc the bone plating, though, so that is a cooldown to kind of keep in mind. Won't be super relevant, as it will come up shortly after laning phase does start. But More Sleep also is off of Trundle duty. So both junglers on different picks for themselves. Echo on the receiving end of some buffs in this last patch has gone up in win rate just a little bit. And he's kind of one of those junglers that you want to be able to get a lead on. He's not necessarily feast or famine, but you want to be able to get a lead to accelerate yourself, because if you don't, it feels like you are playing on the back foot on even ground.
Absolutely here is Immoral One. Apologies, by the way, for the pregame, my man. That is his name. It is going to be his first club game of the series here. Had a good Malphite game in game number 2, but wasn't really able to transition it into a victory for his team. Can't really solo carry the game on that pick either. Now going to have a little bit more carry potential in the form of this Kled. We'll see how he is able to perform on that pick in particular. He's going to be starting off this lane up against Maple Shade's Camille, one that was really able to represent so much value for him in game number 1.
Yeah, and both junglers going to be starting on their respective blue buffs, so we'll see J4 playing up to the top lane. Meanwhile, we do see that More Sleep wants to be playing to the spot lane, wants to be able to protect this Kog'Maw, but you're playing into a Ziggs Leona. I feel like you're not going to be able to get too much done. Maybe he just wants to avoid the J4 early, which I can 100% come up to agreement with here. But Maple Shade getting a little bit of a trade here onto Morrowind, be able to block that, but bot lane's a big fight.
Oh, Pierce Blade might have bitten off more than he can chew there. Throws back out the dredge line, ends up hitting a minion, pulling himself into the middle of everybody. Gonna have to flash to get his distance away. Does have access to Hex Flash, though, so not going to be quite as bad for him as it could be for others on the Rift. So now Immoral One has already been dismounted here, is trying to just last hit some minions to get himself back up there, but it is going to take a little while. So Maple Shade is still very close to full HP, has the flash, whereas Immoral One does not. He's going to have to be very careful in this top lane.
Yeah, a ward was placed down, but we do see Kumazu is making his way up and into the top lane. The wave is pushing for Maple Shade, so he will be in a slightly precarious position if he is not careful. And he looks like he does not really expect Kumazu to be hovering around, maybe. Oh, he does definitely knows that. Okay, he's smarter than that. He stuffed it out. But Kumazu's wasting a lot of time up here. This is now 30 seconds going on that the J4 really hasn't been able to accomplish too much.
Yeah, for certain here. And nicely read there by Maple Shade, making sure that he does not get himself engaged on there by Kumazu. That would have been, once again, PSE getting off to a very strong early start, but it is avoided, at least for the time being. So instead, Kumazu going to just take himself a little risk scuttler. We'll see. Maybe he's going to go for a repeat gank. He does have the opportunity to do so. The ward has already expired. And see, Maple Shade is already pathing on down there to try to check out what's going on. He's just going to see that Kumazu has just finished that Rift Scuttler. Now Nuke's going to jump away to make sure he doesn't take too much damage from Aegis.
Yep, Tastable will heal him up just a little bit there, and he'll be able to catch this wave as it crashes into his turret. But one thing we didn't really get to kind of mention yet is Maple Shade is back onto these, is opting for the flash on the Camille. Not something we see too often. Maybe just respecting Immoral One and the ganks from Kumazu on this J4, being able to have that extra escape tool for him. But Immoral One opted to go for the Ignite this game. So we'll have that extra kill pressure onto Maple Shade on this Camille, and we'll see if he can look to use that.
Oh, Nuke's flashing forward, looking to finish off a solo kill on Aegis, and is going to be able to do it. First blood solo kill claimed for Nukes in the middle lane. He gets to counterpick his lane for the first time pretty much all series, and he comes up huge for it.
Yeah, and that was... I actually don't even think that was a counter. No, that wasn't a counter pick.
It wasn't even a counter pick. You're right. It was the block R5. So I'm making stuff up, but this is his first solo kill all series, and probably the best matchup he's gotten
Immoral
so
One
far.
might be dead here.
Comes up huge for it, and now Immoral One and Maple Shade are taking the 1-versus-1 here. The flash in to make sure that he's going to connect. More Sleep comes through and picks up a kill as well.
All right, and you know what? We saw this in both games here that there were a couple of early kills that were picked up, but this time instead of PSE getting them, it's going to be SK. One of them going over to this Tristana, one of them going to be going over to this Echo. Two champions that want to get these early leads rolling for themselves, especially in the positions that they are in now. That's a TP from Memorial one coming in as well.
Yeah, is just going to find himself getting traded on once again, but instead is just going to be a little bit more damage coming through from More Sleep. Maple Shade going to get pushed out under this turret. The dive comes on through. Here's More Sleep coming on through. Thrown down the parallel convergence. Not going to get the stun on anybody, but does get the shield. Is looking to try to finish off on Kamazu potentially, but doesn't want to get turned on either. In case Immortal One ends up remounting. It's just going to be a free kill picked up for PSE, but now Immortal One's getting engaged on. He's just going to get finished off solo by More Sleep. 3-1 is the scoreboard now for SK. Kamazu's already been forced to take that recall, and now the flash comes through from Aegis. He doesn't want to get hit by the slow and the damage there coming through from that rocket jump. Now Aegis does not have access to flash.
Yeah, Avius, I believe, used the distortion a little bit earlier there, so it didn't have access to that cooldown. So if he were to stick around, he would have been killed. The mirror image was on cooldown from that previous kill. It was just now coming up, I believe. But it's just going to be Nukes going back in for it.
Yeah, still being aggressive up against Avius's LeBlanc here. Knows that he is on the front foot, knows that the flash is not available for this LeBlanc. Has already gotten one solo kill, knows that Avius is going to want to play back now, not end up giving up another one. He's just going to have to head back, farm under turret. Now we'll see what Nukes can make happen elsewhere on the map. He's already on the move, might be looking to respond to this play in the bottom lane. The engage comes on through here from Glaceon. They're going to keep the lockdown going on to Pierceblade. He's going to end up falling on down. Glaceon claims that one with the Eclipse. Tristana is en route, but is still a little bit far away. Reeve on this Pugwa is going to have to flash on away. Blows the cleanse as well. Teleport now coming on through from Maple Shade. Dobbs has been able to finish off the kill onto Reeve. Here comes Tristana. Nukes is looking to claim himself a couple of kills here. Rocket jumps forward, looks to finish off onto Dobbs. Is going to be able to do so. Now has the reset. Is going to have to get a little bit of distance away from Kumazu. Barely stays alive, gets the ultimate off to push him away, and the explosive shot is going to be able to finish off that kill. SK claim themselves 2 back in the bottom lane.
Nukes really likes to live life by the edge of his pants. Holy hell, Gordo. Getting incredibly low there, just barely able to use the buster shot to get away, and now Avius and Glaceon are trying to do what they can to delay Maple Shade from pushing this wave in, but it's not going to matter. He'll be able to reset. You see, Reeve has respawned, made his way up to the top lane, so now the Immoral One can't even look to try to pressure for plates off of this turret. SK are coming up absolutely huge in this early game of our game 3 of our series. Their match point, Gordo. They are looking to send PSE packing, and now Immoral One's stuck between a rock and an echo.
Yeah, More Sleep coming back up for the repeat gank in the top lane, going to use that chrono break to try to stay alive, but Immortal One is turning around here, finally going to get dismounted, not going to be able to chase down the Echo as a result, and it looks like Reeve might just be able to finish this one off. Has to be careful, though. The auto attack's coming on through. One more shot, doesn't quite get the remount. More Sleep dashes forward, finishes it there with the E. More Sleep gets himself another kill onto Immortal One's Kled. So close to turning around the Blaze, but is going to go down 0-3 nonetheless.
Yeah, that was really close. Let's be honest there, Gordo. Immoral One played that fight incredibly well, almost being able to pick up a kill in the 2v1 onto More Sleep, unfortunately falling just a little bit short. Now, Kumazu's in a spot where he doesn't want to be. The support's the same level as him. He's dead.
Pierceblade coming on in. Nukes gets the reset there. He's going to have another rocket jump, jumps forward, finishes off the kill, gives him the thumbs up, and Nukes gets himself another kill there in the mid lane, and this is where that mental aspect starts to come in. Trajan, PSE already down 0-2. A couple of very tight plays just don't end up going their way, and now it is so difficult to come back from this position.
Yeah, 3-0 Echo right now. 6x on the Sark Seal. Does have the Hextech Alternator. Maple Shade getting traded on here by the Immoral One.
Yeah, just going to back on away. Exchange some nice pleasantries and a couple of auto attacks. So they're going to head back into their respective positions. Immoral One going to keep on farming in this top lane. And the Rift Herald might get started on up here sooner rather than later.
Look at what Kled's building. He has a serrated Dirk. He's going for Eclipse this game.
Indeed he is. Indeed he is. As that might give him some potential in the 1v1. It might also be the carry force that he needs to be here. He has had some of the best looks in these fights out of PSE, but certainly not the best of results. So he finds himself down 3 deaths already in this game. Maple Shade continuing to scale on up on this Camille. Had a worse start than this in game number 1 and still was able to come out and be a huge carry. So certainly somebody to keep our eyes on as this game continues on. Glaceon has come up into the top lane to try to get a little bit of relief for his now dismounted friend, but not really going to be able to get any lockdown there. As now here comes the ultimate for Kumazu. He's going to try to use the flag and drag to close it up, but is not going to be able to get the knockup. And now the re-engage comes through from Nukes. He's looking to finish off that kill. More Sleep, meanwhile, has been able to pick up a kill in the top lane. Nuke's going to get the one in the mid lane. There's fights on both fronts here, and they're both going the way of SK. Glacier going to fall on down. Double kill picked up for More Sleep. Nuke's now dipping and diving away from Aegis, playing with Vision, trying to dodge on out on those changes. Is able to do so. Gets the kill.
No.
It's double kills in the top and the mid lane, both for SK. As Nukes gets his in the 1 versus 2, Maple Shade gets some in the 2 versus 2, and SK are now up 11-3.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely disaster across the map for PSC. Immoral 1 and Glaceon getting taken down up in the top lane. Kumasu, Avius getting 2v1'd in the mid lane, and now Dobbs is just going to be by himself getting hooked here. Pierceblade is by himself, but Kumasu does not have access to the Cataclysm quite yet, so that will be Nautilus walking away with his life. And we're looking at 11 minutes into the game, Gordo, a 5,000 gold lead for SK already. This is absolutely massive. We have not seen a gold lead like this at all this entire series, and they are really poised to just kind of go with it now.
Oh, Pierceblade might end up going on down here. It is the teleport being channeled for Avius here, and PSE desperately wants to make something happen. Avius goes on in, trying to finish off the kill on a Pierceblade, is going to be able to do so, but now what can More Sleep get on the other side? Has already finished off 1 kill onto Dobbs, is looking to make it 2 onto Glaceon, throws the Time Winder back, is trying to get this engage onto Avius, but Kumazu coming through as well. More Sleep going to end up going down. 2 kills picked up for just 1 in the bottom lane by PSE. They finally get a play sort of going in their favor, but meanwhile, Maple Shade in the top lane is just taking these aggressive trades up against Immoral 1, gets the Ignite out of him, and can just go right back to farming.
Yeah, and Immoral 1 now has double Ruby Crystal, so is he actually going to try to transition into Tank Kled with this Radiant Dirk? Because that feels really awkward. Oh, that Q misses. It's a dead.
And that's the flash in with the hook shot as well. Maple Shade gets himself the solo kill in the top lane, forces Immoral 1 down to 0-5, and this is not where you want your Kled to be, Trajan.
No, he's 0-5. He has a Serrated Dirk, a Bammy Cinder, a Doran's Blade, and Boots. I've seen this before, and it was out while I was shopping and and driving around on a nice Saturday, and I saw something that said yard sale. But you know what? Maybe he'll make some profits off of it. We'll see what he has to do with it here. He's not giving up yet. TP's coming from him is going to be channeled up here on the top lane, going to be able to catch up this wave. But the second Rift Herald of the game has spawned on the map, and it does look like the side of SK are going to try to turn their focus onto it and look to crash and break open this map for themselves.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be their next move here, as they are going to start that one on up. Should be able to finish it off pretty easily. Immoral 1 coming down to the river to check out what's going on, but what's going on is Maple Shade trading into him. He's going to hook shot forward, gets a bunch of damage down. Scarl already ready to head for the hills here, as this is not a position that Immoral 1 can really contest for. He can't push into the river. He can't stop the Rift Herald from going down because Maple Shade's there. Maple Shade's stronger than him by a lot.
Yeah, and now with Second Dragon going to be spawning here in a moment, it does look like SK are going to try to crash it into this mid turret, get it down there. Immoral 1 does not. Oh, he just ults. He went for it.
Oh no, but it gets blocked by More Sleep into the parallel convergence. It's just all going wrong for PSC, but I may have spoken too soon as Nukes is getting engaged on. He's going to try to rocket jump away. He's going to be finished on off here by Avius. Now, what can they get back on the other side? More Sleep has already finished the kill there onto Immoral 1. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but More Sleep now going to keep the chase going. Kumazu gets locked on down by the dredge line, tries to flag and drag away, but is just getting chased by this Echo, ends up going down. Now, Reeve getting engaged on by 2 members. He's got a kite on back. He autos a minion. He flashes away. The teleport now being channeled here. He's looking to turn this one around with More Sleep collapsing from the side, dives on in, not getting anybody as of yet, but Dobbs going to end up going down, doesn't get the flash over the wall that his teammates do, and another kill goes over to More Sleep's Echo. He is now 9-1 on this jungler. He's huge, and he's going to start off this next dragon.
Yeah, and that's going to be 2 turrets falling for the side of SK here. They're going to be able to pick up the bot tier 1. They already got the bot mid tier 1, and they were able to get the plates of it because it was before 14 minutes before the turret collapsed. So now SK have a massive gold advantage. 6,000 gold coming up onto this. A lot of it's going to be in the mid lane on this jungler. More Sleep, like you said, 9-1, absolutely massive. He's going to be able to reset, pick up a ton of items for himself, but for the side of PSC, thankfully the shutdown that was on Nukes did go over to Avius on this LeBlanc. This is what you want to see. She has the Ludens finished, has the Sorcerer Shoes available, so she will be able to do a lot of damage in these fights, and if she's able to get a good flank onto SK, can look to just assassinate a couple of members, because, you know, Reeve and Nukes are going to be sitting relatively undefended in the backline.
It's certainly the case here, and More Sleep can just rampage through everybody now. He's completed his Lich Bane. That's 2 items for this jungler, and you know the composition of PSE are not really equipped to deal with an Echo that's just this strong. They do not really have the lockdown that can stick onto him. Only Leona
He just
really can use CC on this Echo, and they're just not going to be able to finish him off in time. He's just so mobile and has so much sustain with the addition of that ultimate that it's almost unanswerable.
he, More Sleep literally just straight bought a Lich Bane. This man is so strong right now on this Echo. He's gonna try to just one-shot people. Moral One's just dead. Oh my god!
Wow. All right. Yeah, that was. I didn't think it'd be that fast, but the phase dive just finished him off instantly. Reeve now getting engaged on, doesn't have the flash. He's dead. He has nowhere to go. There's no way he survives this. Aegis picks up that kill. So it is a 1-for-1 across the map at the end of the day, but that demonstration of power from More Sleep really makes it feel like PSE are not trading evenly.
Yeah, it's going to be really rough, especially because now they're losing their tier 2, and Nukes and Pierceblade are going to be caught up in the jungle. They're going to see multiple members. It's going to be a fight.
Yeah, Pierceblade getting locked on down, getting stunned up. He's likely to go down here. Aegis picks up that kill as well. Now 4-2-1 on the LeBlanc. Has gotten some nice gold influx into him. Is up against a fairly squishy team on SK. Could potentially be the pathway they need back to this game, but oh my goodness, look at More Sleep's damage. Just bursts right through the Scarl, gets him dismounted. Immortal One has to head back to the base. And Mapleshade and More Sleep are taking the entire base. Nobody on SK has gotten up here to actually respond here. Immortal One cannot do this on his own. And the inhibitor turret's just gone for basically nothing here. Aegis going to come on in here. Glaceon trying to lock down on a More Sleep. He still has access to the Chrono Break. He's just doing a whole bunch of damage. Gets that on across. He's finally going to go down. Big shutdown for Kumazu here. Mapleshade now heading for the hills. Use the Hextech Ultimatum to buy a little bit of time. Should have a hook shot here pretty soon. And there's the Bear Trap on a rope coming through from Immortal One. Trying to lock down onto this Camille. Hook shot, though, is very clean. Gets himself over that destroyed turret and gets himself behind his team, crucially. SK just end up trading 1-for-1. They get a big shutdown, though, onto More Sleep. That gold goes over to Kumazu.
Yeah, Kamazu's been able to pick up both of the shutdowns onto More Sleep. More Sleep will be losing a couple of stacks on the Dark Seal, but he now has access to the stopwatch, looking to finish up on that Zanya. So Echo's going to be really, really hard to kill. More Sleep just didn't have a chance to react. He had the flash available, but that's going to be Kamazu going on to Reef here.
Yeah, Reeve once again, not long for this world. The Mega Inferno Bomb Cataclysm combo, very effective against the flashless Kog'Maw. Pierceblade going to trade back onto Kamazu, though, gets himself a little kill. He's going to flash away. Pierceblade might be able to get out of here. Immortal One is coming in for the collapse, though. This Nautilus not likely going to be able to escape here. Gets the Dredge line, though. Immortal One dashes forward with the Joust, gets the Bear Trap on a rope, yanks it back. They're going to be able to finish this one off, but Mapleshade is waiting on the other side. He's got to head out here, too, though. He's got to be careful about this 1-versus-4. Flashes away from the Solar Flare. Is going to stay alive for now, but PSE claim themselves 2 kills as Kumazu is still respawning.
Holy crap, Gordo, this game has just been non-stop pedal to the metal. And you can see here that SK, they know that they're in the lead and they're looking for these plays. They're able to, they lost Pierceblade in the jungle earlier. Were able to push down 2 turrets, get an exposed inhibitor before 17 minutes in the game, but then just overstayed a little too far, got punished for it, gave up a few shutdowns. And PSE, that's what they're looking for. They're capitalizing on the mistakes that SK are giving them right now and looking to feed that gold into their carries. Avius started the game 0-2, is now 5-2. Has a needlessly large one, looking to probably finish what I would assume to be, oh, well, hello, Nukes, found Kumazu.
Yeah, Nukes just runs into Kumazu with Dobbs right there, bursts him out. He's dead now. So many members on SK are so fed that they can just go for these absurd plays that in a normal game situation, they would have no ability to even attempt. But Nukes just comes on out ahead for it, finishes off an easy kill, Buster shots away Dobbs to get himself a little bit of space, walks on out of the play, and now the jungler's down with the dragon about to spawn.
Yeah, so a couple of things too I just noticed, Gordo. More Sleep completely sold the Lich Bane and decided to pick up a Nashor's Tooth instead. So, we have the economy for it, may as well take advantage of it. We're booming in stonks right now. Vision control is going to be going over to SK here as they're going to be able to look to pick up. This is our third Mountain Soul, by the way. We've had 3 Mountain Souls all night, and it's going to be the third one, and SK are loving it. It is their omen at this moment. It will be picked up by them right now. The Herald has spawned for the second time on the map. It will not be long for this world, though. It's only 30 seconds until it will despawn. It does look like SK are trying to potentially suss out if PSE are going to be on it, but it does not look like that PSE have any interest in really stepping that far up. Right now, Kumazu is just trying to be proactive on the map, looking for these ganks, looking for these picks, punishing Reef, who continues to overextend in the mid lane, man. This is the 3rd time you're going to get caught out if you're not careful. And
he's got flash this time, though.
He does have flash, but you're a Kog'Maw, so it feels kind of bad.
Yeah, Kog'Maw now getting a little bit of damage out of Kamazu. There goes the Cataclysm. He does have Flash. Flash is still within the Cataclysm, but they are going to be able to finish off the kill out of Kamazu nonetheless. Immortal One going to pick up that kill, but it is going to be traded 1-for-1. Now Nukes has the fight lines he's looking for, getting a bunch of damage there on to that Kled. Going to be able to finish him off as well. Glaceon ends up falling down. Now it is just going to be Aegis left all alone, getting CC'd up by the depth charge. Blinks back over the wall, but gets finished off by more sleep. Dobbs now getting chased down by Maple Shade in the 1-versus-1. This is not one that the Ziggs ends up winning. He's waiting out the W. So nicely played by Maple Shade there. Waits for Ziggs to just slam his face into the Hextech Ultimatum wall and then finish him off for the kill.
And that was the most chaotic fight, and I guess I can't say that, but all the team fights tonight have just been so absolutely chaotic and hellish, and SK are living and thriving off of that energy. PSE cannot get their feet underneath them here, and now it's like BO4 just dead.
Yeah, that's that mental thing we were talking about earlier, Trajan. It's just rough to play the game from this position. Sometimes you flag and drag into 4 people.
Yeah, and because of that, now 30 seconds. This is you are going to lose Baron for it. This Echo has Nash's Tooth, does an insane amount of damage, especially once that Baron gets into low health range. You can't look to assassinate it. Dobbs does have the Mega Inferno Bomb, but he's still in his base, isn't anywhere near it. You're going to see the what's the Echo ultimate called again? I can't remember. Chrono Break, Chrono Shift.
Yes.
Chrono Break coming out just for the additional damage. Avius looking to try to get a consolation prize in a Reeve, but they're committing a TP to it too.
There's just no play to be had here, Trajan, unless SK opts for it. They could just walk away. They don't have to worry about this anymore. They're just going to chain on the recalls, the Baron empowered recalls nonetheless, as that is just going to be Dobbs' TP expended for pretty much nothing. And that was a good call out earlier, by the way, on More Sleep selling that Lich Bane. Because can we just call out here? More Sleep has so much gold that he's literally throwing it away.
He really is. He full sold that on him. He just reset now after the Baron, and now he just has a Zani's Hourglass with 10 stacks on the Darksteel. He's doing an insane amount of damage, 11, 2, and 5 on this Echo, up double the CS that Kumazu has. An absolutely miserable game 3 for him. He had some really great early game plays, was looking to be proactive across the map, but at the end of the day, it's just not going to matter. Moral One's going to get blocked here by Maple Shade.
Yeah, does not win this 1-versus-1. It wasn't earlier, certainly won't now. Is the 1-versus-3 enough, though? That's a question that I'm not 100% sure of, as Maple Shade is still taking this fight up against a Moral One. Could potentially look to finish him on off. Kumazu and Avius are here to run interference, but Avius taking a bunch of damage on the backside as well. Precision Protocol got to finish off that LeBlanc clone, and now with 2 members so low, the remount comes through from a Moral One, but Scarl or no Scarl, Maple Shade will take this fight. Nukes jumps over the wall, gets the dismount once again, and now is going to claim the kill. Goes on a killing spree there on the Tristana, 8-1. Certainly not poor by any means either, as meanwhile the rest of the team are just taking mid inhibitor. They're going to claim this one pretty easily here. It's a 13k gold lead for SK. This game is pretty much all over but the crying. Trajan is now Avius going to be taken out by Reeve. Kumazu going to follow as well, as SK are running through the base of Pride Stalker Esports, and they are going to book themselves a ticket to the Aegis Defenders League Finals.
You know, it's I'll call it a little anticlimactic, but when's the last time you've seen a Kog'Maw, an ADC on your team with less than 30% kill participation?
Yeah, he's the first pick champion. He's the most important character in the game. He's the most valuable champion. We already covered this, but he doesn't even need to participate. That really speaks volumes about how far ahead SK were able to get in this game number 3.
Yeah, they had a slow start to game 1, slow start to game 2, and then just kind of took off. In game 3, it was the pedal to the metal. More Sleep and Maple Shade on their, well, Maple Shade on a signature pick, but More Sleep on a champion that doesn't have to worry about being a tank, doesn't have to worry about being a frontline, can be proactive, look for these early kills, look to be scrappy and fighting, and that's what they did. They carried themselves through that early game, blasted through any chance that PSE had available to themselves, and were able to secure a spot for themselves in the finals.
Yeah, absolutely here. Cannot say enough good things about SK's performance tonight. We talked about them as tactical players, as, real macro-oriented team in these first couple of games, how well they were able to play towards their comp strengths, how well they were able to bide their time and get these fights exactly when they wanted them. And then game three just turns all that on its head. Instead, they just mechanically outplay their opponents at every turn. They take a couple of fights early on that are super close, super down to the wire, and they end up turning them in their favor. And from there, they just snowball the game completely out of control.
We even saw them. They made multiple mistakes throughout the course of that mid-game transition, but it simply didn't matter. They got so much off of it, and their momentum just continued to push them forward throughout that transition into the late game. That PSE just weren't able to react fast enough. We saw 3 people try to go into the top lane at the very end there to try to secure something onto Maple Shade, but in the meantime, Echo's bot lane, there's 2 people with the Tristana or the Kog'Maw mid with Nautilus. They're taking your base. You're being forced into such bad decisions that it doesn't matter at that point of the game. You can't do anything.
And after that victory there, we are joined by More Sleep from SK. More Sleep, congratulations on finals, and how are you feeling?
Uh, I mean, it's sort of expected, honestly. Like, we didn't practice or anything because this, like, their 80 carry's a joke, so we figured we just won. The rest of the team's pretty good.
Little bit of BM coming out of here in the semifinals of our match, but again, congratulations on your win. How I guess how did it feel to be able to not have to be on Trundle duty in game 3?
I mean, the first pick Xin Zhao, so it just, like, game 2, it felt fun playing Trundle. Game 1 was boring, but game 2, seeing where all AD Malphite stacked so much armor, I just pressed R on him and I became a tag.
Very, very true.
And then game 3, I just asked for trusted Echo pick, and they said sure, that we delayed jungle pick, and I got it.
All right, I gotta ask about that game 3. We saw you buy that Lich Bane and sell it. Any statement of the logic of this?
I meant to buy a Nash. Okay, because like Lich Bane's only good versus squishies, but there's no one on bursting on that team, so I bought it by mistake thinking it was Nashers. Then I figured I'm far enough ahead, I could just hit them with the wallet real quick.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun little bit that we definitely were able to take notice of it here. What was the thought process? I mean, I think we already kind of know the answer, but what was the thought process behind him wanting to just blue side Kog'Maw games 2 and 3?
Our coach or draft coach just was like, "Yo, Kog'Maw sort of just doesn't lose anything, and this guy's been telling you only play Ziggs Ezreal. You want to just B1 Kog'Maw, ego him." So we had a plat 380 carry, ego their diamond ADC.
All right. Well, very good to hear. It sounds like you guys had a great time coming out of. It sounds like your prep for this week was pretty interesting. Now you're coming up into finals next week. I think that other series is still going on here. Do you have a preference for who you're going to play against, or any thoughts on that other matchup as it's going to determine your opponent this week?
I mean, I assume we're just against VGA because of the sad stuff that happened with Sparta's jungle. But in the case we're not, like, either team seems good, IMO. Like, we played versus Sparta with our old mid. It was a really bad day because I had personal troubles on the same day, so we gig underperformed, but we still took a game off them. And then VGA, our only matches versus them were plans, and we didn't take plans seriously because they meant nothing. So we just for fun. I think we blew one Skarner versus them to have fun. Yeah, either team sounds like fun. Our side of the bracket just seemed really free.
All right. Well, congratulations nonetheless. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the finals next week. Anything else you want to say? Anyone else you want to shout out before we call it a night on this broadcast?
Shout out to Nukes for not griefing me, because last time we played versus these guys, he died 3 times in lane to their jungle when Kappa.
All right. I'll take that shout out over to Nuke. So once again, congratulations, my man, on your victory tonight. We will see you in the finals next week. And to everybody else who tuned on in tonight, thank you all from myself, from Trajan, and from production, and have yourselves a fantastic night.